It was something that was posted that WoW had posted, I think, last night or so. But what I like about this is that it kind of it's a really good demonstration of what goes on in Blizzard's head. It's it's a mix of candid but also very carefully crafted and rehearsed. And part of what bums me out about what they had said, and we'll get to it in just a bit. Part of what bums me out is that it is reflective of how they react to things. It took them a long time to react. They tried to cover all of their bases because they know every little word that comes out of their mouths is going to be nitpicked to death. And if there is an opportunity to take their words out of context, people will, and they will run with that to the hills. Woohoo! Like for example, me, I will do the same thing. Just the other week, I put out a video based on my surface findings on the PTR, and I talked about, how long is it going to take to unlock flight, and so we kind of had an idea, and then I updated that with another one because there was a new build, and I was like, okay, here are some changes. I might be wrong here, but let's just guesstimate how this is going to look based on our findings right now. And then people were pissed because the time it took to unlock flight went up by like a week. Oh my god. People lost their minds. And then yesterday, someone told me that Asmongold watched that video too on stream. I'm like, oh, this is going to turn out great. And so now the discourse has become that much more rubble. And there are those folks out there that will use that as well as the Mage Tower taking its break for however long it's going to be. Right now, those are the flags that are being waved. It's like, this is the best that we've got, guys. Mage Tower, flying. All right, guys, this is why this is the worst game ever. Something, Bobby Kotick. People will run with it. And it kind of sucks. And it kind of sucks that I'm party to it. Because of my feedback. In a different world, I would have given, where I gave this sort of feedback, people would have been like, oh man, that sucks. Well, let's see what happens in the next build. Or, let's voice our opinions and hopefully they'll listen and we'll see what happens in the next build. But nah. Nah, I don't think so. Nope, that breezy dude, he's chill, but even he said something like this, so that means this is literally the worst. And this is literally what we're going to see when the patch comes out in like 2 months or something like that. But it's already been decided. Hey, Betty. Exactly, they're all still playing. The loudest voices are the complainers. Yes, the loudest voices are the complainers, but they're also useful. The worst thing is to not care, right? The worst thing is to not care, and then you're just like, fuck it, I'm done. Which actually is kind of fine. Because I definitely buy into the idea that if you're not having fun, then do something else. It's really, we talked about this yesterday. Gosh, if you're not having fun, just, move on. Do something else. Come back later. It's okay. You're only playing for the Mage Tower and it's gone and you're gonna unsub because of it. All right. What you gonna do now? Right? It's like, that's cool. That's cool. Save some money, right? I'm excited for the new raid. Full stop. It's the little things. It's the little things like that. Yeah, I always look forward to a new raid, but I also don't know anything that's coming out of it, except for, I know the bosses. Woo! I know the bosses that are coming, but then that's about it. The rest of it, though, is an adventure and all that. Baby! Hey! Congratulations, although unfortunately no one heard the damn alert. No one heard it. I didn't hear it. That's... Damn it, Soul. Sucks. I always look forward to the new arts and world and settings. The OCD in me is always happy to complete the thing, the feature, the whatever it is. Like, I think like maybe 2 weeks ago, I finally maxed out the last of the domination shards. I didn't need to. I hella didn't need to because it sucks for tanking. But I was happy to do it too. Hey, thank you, Yoda Cow. Although we still didn't hear anything. I hate this thing. I swear. Okay, I'm gonna look at this thing now. Does this not work? Okay, so sorry, I'm gonna look at shit really quick because I'm like tilted. Okay, so let's emulate something. I'm gonna emulate someone following. Okay, so that worked. All right, here, let me move this thing just a little bit. All right, I'll save it, and then I'll do another emulation thing. See how easily I got distracted just now? See, look at that. Betty gifted a sub, and that's not playing either. Why? Why? Please don't spend money just to test this. It's the worst. Thank you so much, Betty. You're amazing. Okay, let's try just okay, I'll do the gift thing. So here we go. So that didn't work either. Maybe it's just broken. OMG. Okay, what about a regular sub person? But then Yoda Cow should have been able to fire. Okay, let's do it. Boom. Oh. It's playing too much. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so there. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, so now that worked. Okay, so following worked. That sub worked. Okay, I gotta make it so that all of this shit works. But I don't know how to do it. I'll have to do it later. You do it for the emote? Okay, fine. At least I got the emotes working right. You're the worst. You're the best, and you're the worst, Yoda, because we can't hear it. You know what? Here we go. I'm just gonna. Where is it? Fucking, I'll do it myself. Oh my god. Where's my Brutosaur song? I don't even know where the fuck it is. Something, Brutosaur, please find it. Oh, Yoda, you're the best, dude. You are amazing. Ah ha ha! I'm just gonna find the Brutosaur song. Where is it? No. We're gonna go deluxe. We're gonna play like the Brutosaur song, if I can find it, wherever the fuck it is, man. Here we go. Let's play the full song.
Can you name the mount known far and wide that sold for prices too damn high? Brutosaur. He's the four-legged long boy stuff selling mount that costs more gold than your mama can count. Brutosaur. Yeah. Brutosaur. 10 elves long and 3 trolls high, 13 meters of Zandalor pride. Brutosaur, yeah. Brutosaur. Proves you're a super rich son of a bitch and needed hot fish just across the Throne Bridge. Brutosaur, yeah. Brutosaur. Brutosaur. Get 'em right now, folks, that'd be nice, cause they'll be in the black market at double the price. Brutosaur. It's the biggest mount known in the game. Now gather around, folks, and shout his name. Brutosaur.
Yeah, bitch. All right, cool. I did it. It took a while. But that definitely deserved a fucking them them 20s, dude. Thank you again, man. Thank you again, Yoda. You make all of us a little bit happier. Too bad I can't get all the sounds working. But much love to you, dude. Thank you again. What was some people were saying stuff? Okay, Nils says basically just play the game. WoW isn't just a game. Like every MMO, it's a social game, and if you want to play it solo, go ahead. But MMOs are mostly social, so if you want to join the game, just do things you like. Just play the game. There's like WoW is so meta. Like the game takes place outside of it too. And you know what? I think it's because we just don't have an outlet for it. If we did have player housing, and like, you know, I doubt it, but if if WoW did have full on player housing and we can do anything we wanted to, would we also have, you know, clubs? Probably not. Probably not, because okay, we probably would. We probably would. That would be amazing, actually, if we think about that, because of how WoW operates. It would be so cool, because we'd be able to type in, you know, person's realm and realm name easily. Because in WoW, cross realm shit, easy, seamless. Type in the person's name, get into the party, you're done. And then you could go to their house and then fornicate, or, you know, have a drink and fornicate. Fel says the Asmund Gold fans have taken the flying video and taken the 25-day thing to be absolute fact. So tired. Sucks, but oh well. Here's what's gonna happen. Possibly in today hours. You know, there's gonna be a new build. We'll have an update. Things will be clarified, and then we'll update the timeline, and then people won't listen to it. But that's an unfortunate usual thing. It's the usual thing. Maybe the problem is that WoW is a social game, but we are not social. Kinda. Like, for me, I am super antisocial. Says the guy that's been running a guild for like 14 years? Yeah. But it's true. Like, for the most part, I like soloing things. I tend to not do things with other people outside of raid. But although like later this afternoon or maybe tonight, assuming that I give myself the time. See, Justin, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna be like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna do like Mythic Plus with Justin and his crew. We're gonna do a bunch of 15s. I'll get KSM. It's gonna be awesome. And then I'll be like, PTR build, what? And then I'm just gonna get lost in that shit. I'll be like, what's new? What's new? Show me the new thing. Gotta make a video about it. See, that's how I'm excited just about thinking about the damn build coming out. But yeah, I was saying this earlier, Fel. It's unfortunate when, you know, doing videos and giving feedback and whatnot, especially with stuff in development, can easily lead to this sort of thing. But it's also the reality of it. Things change, things get better, things get worse. For all we know, it might get worse. They're like, 17 days, 25 days. You know what? I think 25 days sounds better, guys. Okay, cool. And then they actually do it. And then I'll get the blame for it. Oh, that'll be great too. I noticed, at least with a project that I'm working on lately, 300 people, and we make events more and more. More and more, nobody comes. Need more emotes for clubs, though. Oh yeah, for sure. We definitely need more emotes. Like, I would love it if they locked a couple people in a room and they had them work on, at the very, very least, taking all the current dances and making it so that everyone can use those dances. So if I want to see fucking Gnomes and Torin doing the hammer dance, we should have it. Definitely. Make it happen. Easy. Just copy paste, Blizz. Simple. It's so not simple. It's totally not that easy, but oh well. One day, 500k views. That's how it goes. I mean, well, that and Asmongold doesn't post very much. So when he does, and his channel blows it up, and his channel, remember, the person who runs that channel, like, they have hella subscribers too. They're what, like almost 1 million or so? So, you know, they'll easily, like, get hella people up. Let's see. Totally, it's also someone like me that can't fix that problem. Local YouTube man, Jinx Development. I should message Asmongold do an interview. Correct? No, I'm not going to do that. You know why I'm not going to do that? Because one, I don't know how correct we are. For all we know, the bug is that it's not filling out correctly. Or the bug is that the achievement is firing off too early. And this new build, it might literally be complete the entire cipher tree, not just put 1 point into it. So two things could happen with this upcoming build. Either the achievement description is clarified, hey, put 1 point into each of these things, or complete it, as in do the whole damn thing. For all we know, that might happen, and it'd be irresponsible for me to be like, hey, we need to correct this thing that might change at any time. That's the burden of being a tester, is that you don't know. And it's also the very bad, not bad thing, but okay, it's a bad thing. It's the very bad thing about the lack of communication between a tester and the developer. It's like, hey, developer, we're seeing this. What's the intended behavior? In a normal environment, I'd be able to ask that. I'd be able to shoot off an email. Hey, Dave, this achievement is firing off kind of funny compared to the last build. I don't see any build notes. Can you clarify what happens when the following steps are taken? And then I will expect an answer by the end of the day. And then cool. And then I'll be able to decide whether or not this achievement description is something that I can bug, because if this is at work, I would bug this. I'd be like, I don't know what's going on here. Can you clarify this for me? Because I'm either going to give this like a C bug because it's just a text thing and I don't care what you do about it, or it's going to be an A bug because you're going to you're going to mislead players and they're going to be fucking pissed. So, yeah, there's nothing to correct because I don't know what the intended behavior is. Kind of sucks, but oh well. Dun. One of my guildies made a good point about the Peter as to why people hate so much of the game. His point was that if you play through the PTR, you might not like the live game since you already played through it already in the PTR. AKA, you get a little burnt out from playing the same thing twice. Just a little thought. He came to me. Yeah, that's absolutely true. There are people that... There are definitely people who who play the PTR for different reasons. Some people play it for testing, so because I really want to test because someday I want to be a game tester. Some people do it for enrichment. World First Raiders. They want to get into they want to understand all the systems so that way when they get into it, they can hit the ground running and then do all the, some people do it for exploits. They'll find bugs that will give them an advantage and then not say anything and hope that no one else says anything. So that way, day one, woo, they'll be able to run with it and get away with it, basically. Some people like me. They will pop it in. They'll pop into the PTR so they can get an idea of what's going on and then report on it and share their findings with people, which is very much a double-edged sword because the audience that watches these things sometimes they can't handle it. Sometimes they can't they forget the context that oh right, this thing's not going to be out for at least another month. And all sorts of things could change in the meantime. And I am like about 110% certain that they will. I will be surprised if it turns out wrong. But at the very least, I'd want to see the tree change a little bit so that way it's easier to understand. Because to be honest, 2 to 3 weeks ain't shit. Come on, dude. It's nothing new at this point. In fact, we've seen worse with Pathfinder stuff. It's like not only do you have to do all this, like for example, like I would say BFA was like the worst. Yeah, BFA did handled this the most poorly, in my opinion. Well, I guess Legion did it really bad too, but BFA is more recent, so whatever. You had to do 8.0 content. Like pretend that you jumped in later in the expansion. You jumped in at 8.2 or something when flying was supposed to come in. But then what you had to grind through all that 8.1. You had to grind through all that 8.0 and 8.1 content, and you had to do the part two. You had to grind through all the 8.2 content in order to get flying in both areas. And to me, that made no sense because I'm like, dude, why don't you just have flying? And why didn't we have a Pathfinder Part One? Let people fly around those Kultiris and Zandalar areas early on, because 8.2 didn't add anything there. It's just you added flight to there and Mechagon, and that's hardly a big deal. And then have like some other achievement to unlock flying in Nashatar, kind of like what they're doing right now in 9.2. So we're actually seeing a reflection of lessons learned. It'd be really shit, right, if they were like, okay, we're gonna unlock flight in 9.2, complete all the Zereth Mortis content, do all this research stuff, and you can unlock flying in the original Shadowlands zones. That'd be dumb too, right? So, PewDiePie only gets 500k views a day per video. So, you don't normally get a 50% sub viewership. No, but then he has a very engaged audience. That's the difference. So, yeah. Lack of communication, that would never happen on a PTR. I mean, that's kind of the problem too, though. Like, because I'm not a tester. I'm just a subscriber. I'm just a player. Why do you not play? Thank you, Red. Thank you very much, Red. Lol, send an email to a dev. Better poke them straight up in Teams, or you'll never get an answer. Well, at least at my work, we were third-party testers, so I'm not gonna. Email was like the only avenue. It's not like every developer who makes games on the PlayStation platform, they all don't work on a single platform, unfortunately. But hey, email was close enough. So the only bug I noticed is the lack of mount. Yeah, there's been a long standing discourse over that. Why don't we have a new mount achievement, guys? My headcanon says, oh, we don't have it because they're planning to make the next big mount achievement something player housing. Thank you, Jeppy. Yay, Jeppy! You can't catch up to Jeppy. Just gift a bunch of subs, and then that'll count. I'm kidding. Don't do that. It took 3 weeks to get flying at the start of a patch. I wouldn't bat an eye. Yeah. My big take though, my takeaway though, and I guess obviously not everyone really picked up on it. My big takeaway is from flying in 9.2. Farm up the currency, click the thing to research, and then wait. That's the part that I have beef with. I don't see any reason to wait. The currency that you get from Zereth Mortis, it's not exactly gated or anything. You can kind of sort of keep farming for it, at least so far. But there's definitely like an upper limit before you're like, okay, I could scour the land for like little scraps of this currency or not, or I can wait another day or two, to get flying or whatever it is that I need. But yeah, kind of like the box of many things, it's a thing that you'll complete eventually. So I don't know. It's very much not a big deal. What's up, Rye? How you doing, buddy? You're about to write a formal complaint. Yeah, just make sure you send it through email, because unified communication, yada yada yada. I really thought Blizzard figured out how to do these research systems with a research tree being added to Torghast. Guess I was wrong. I don't know how Blizz keeps doing this. So here's the thing, AJ, man. Here's the thing. It hasn't launched yet. So that's a thing. I remember, so there were different sorts of things that employed both, this farm, click, wait sort of thing. And you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I don't know if you guys remember this. I barely do. You guys remember the Deaths of Chromie scenario? That was a thing where, it was kind of like not a roguelite, but it was kind of this timed thing, and you eventually had to progress through this tree in order to get to the end of the whole scenario. And if I recall correctly, you had to farm for currency, you clicked, and then there was a research time for it too, and that kind of pissed me off. It's kind of the same thing as this. And I didn't mention that because I didn't want to mention it. I was trying to just stress the point that Blizzard hasn't done this. It's bad. Don't do it. I didn't want to mention Deaths of Chrome because I was like, oh, well, they did it and it wasn't that big of a deal. In fact, I think I finished Deaths of Chromie without having to research everything. But still, I was trying to make a point. That's an excuse. That's not an excuse. That's totally fine. And that's why I gave my input. Now, that's the difficulty that comes from giving public feedback in a public test realm. That's, with stuff that's still in development. Not everyone's going to take it the same way. People will look at this stuff and they treat it like it's live, and it's not live. However, I am going to give urgent feedback and say, hey, this is a concern. Here's what I like. Here's what I don't like. Here we go. But folks can't handle that. You're right that the whole PTR thing, it's not an excuse, but we can't judge either. It's super unfair to say that in every build, Blizzard has to do it right every time. That's a stupid way to think, because it just feeds into forever negativity, and it's your fault if you live in that mindset. And I believe that passionately, because I'm not a developer. I've just done QA, but I've seen how the process goes. I've seen stupid shit happen because a developer will want to run with an idea, and they'll see how far it goes until they change their mind. More often than not, this is benign. 2 weeks versus 3 weeks. Oh no. So yeah, it's super unfair to be like, oh, Blizzard needs to do it right the first time every time. It's the dumbest thing. Or like, too little, too late. The fuck sense does that make? It's in development. Sheesh. How much did the box of many things change from PTR to 9.1? That could be our forecast for how the 9.2 research will go. I'm trying to remember. My memory is very bad. I know that things were shuffled around. There were some costs that were adjusted. The rate at which you would acquire the things, the currency, tower knowledge or whatever, that was adjusted a number of times. It started off as a straight farm, but then it quickly turned into a a weekly gate. I think that changed within like the first build or so. So things had changed around. But it's different though, because tower knowledge was a very fixed currency with very hard weekly gates to it. But then after about 2 months, then you can max out everything and then you were just done. And that was it. You're on call, but because of Omicron, I was able to not have to go in the office. Haha. Let's see. But that's like they don't learn from previous mistakes. If they already did the box of many things well, why not add that to a cookbook Excel on how to do this kind of a system? That's a question that can be answered after it goes live. It's a bit off topic, but anyway, you know what Soul Flying is kind of MO bad. It's not a super high speed. Obviously, it can't be too high, but 310, not 350. Why not? Well, original flight speed was 280, then it went up to 310. Flight points are what, like 400 anyway onto my point. I want to see an expansion without flying completely underground. Without flying. Completely underground in a cool city. With the whole expansion taking place in the city, so the patches unlock new areas with no flying during the whole expansion and after, no flying. One of the... yesterday, I was cooking up a whole list of dumb things that Blizzard has done. Because I'm not 100% chill. But one of those things, and I didn't talk about this very much because it was something that I put in on my own, was when it was when Blizzard gave up on flying. And this is kind of a two-parter. They gave up on flying at the start of Warlords of Draenor when they originally intended to not have flying at all. They intended to just stop, and people were up in arms over it, and rightfully so, because for all sorts of reasons. Anything that you can think of, all of that, all that's valid feedback, whatever. But Blizzard wanted to give up on flight. And then, there was a bunch of discourse, both internal and external, yada, yada, yada. And then by the time 6.2 came out, they were like, you know what? Yeah, okay, fine, we're going to do flying. But here's how it's going to work. And then they developed the Pathfinder sort of thing. The second part of them giving up on flight, in my opinion, is when they set up this whole thing with Pathfinder with the paradigm of, we will give you flying once you complete everything else. Then you can fly. And I think that's another big fuck up, because we're at a stage where we're at a point where flying is simply a convenience for the alts, or just kind of a reward for finishing everything. And I don't buy into that. I don't buy into that school of thought at all. I do not like that. I want flying to unlock new layers of content. For example, the thing. For example, the Cloud Serpent dailies. You got flying at max level. You paid that. You threw down that money, and then now with flying, you can now do new things that are flying related and get you flying mounts. Woo! There was way back in the day with Burning Crusade, flying lets you access the Ogre Law faction and the Sky something faction. Although you can take a Warlock summon, but then that's really convoluted. Whatever. It let you fly to the to Tempest Keep, which again, you can summon whatever. Or you could do the Netherwing dailies, which I guess was like the big thing about flying back then. Or you could do the Netherwing dailies. It unlocked new things to do. And it also, of course, made what you did normally, what you did routinely, faster and more efficient. Woo. Wrath of the Lich King kind of, sort of, went halfway with this. Like, yeah, you can fly at level 77, 67, whatever it was. But if you happen to not be able to fly, hey, you know what? You can take these renta mounts and you can navigate your way through the Storm Peaks. There was like a cool little compromise. I would say that Wrath didn't unlock as much content that required flying, but it was there too. Cataclysm was built around flights, and I personally hated that. Whatever. But yeah, fast forward back again. Blizzard gave up on flying as early as Warlords, and ever since then, they look at flying with like this kind of loathsome, ugh, fine, we'll give them flight, but we're not going to give them anything new. Because, they'll say, we want players to experience most of the content on the ground, which is fine. That's a game design decision, and if that's what they want, fine. But I just want more. I would rather have them unlock flying related content because that just feels fun. It's a new thing, it's a gradual graduation from ground content to ground plus flying content. To me, that makes sense. I think it's a good idea, but they haven't gone through with it, and I think and they're wrong in my opinion. Seems to me like Blizzard decided to take PR hits over having a larger internal testing for their internal PTR. Again, though, like I'll give Blizzard all the excuses in the world when they're in test. They can fuck up as much as they want because that's the point. If Blizzard lets themselves feel pressured to develop the right way with like the right perceptions and whatnot in the PTR, then that I would say it threatens to restrict creativity. It threatens Blizzard. You need to play it safe every time, Blizz. You can't take risks. And I don't think that's what any developer should subject themselves to. The whole idea of you can't make mistakes. Like if you're making something, and like think of yourself. Like if you're making something, if you're cooking something, and you have your methodology, you have your method or whatnot, and then you have someone who you don't even know is just looking at you and be like, "Hey, you're not doing it right," and you're like, "Bitch, you have no idea what I'm doing. It'll be fine once it's done. All right, Jesus, just trust me. All right, it's just food. All right, quit tripping." It's not far off from that. But I will, but going back to what I do, yeah, I'll bring up concerns. Hey guys, this is what I'm seeing. Here's my feedback. Here's what I like and don't like. That's it. Next build, I'm going to do it again. It's going to be different feedback. Hey, I saw this change. I like this. This is cool. Here's what I don't like. Ta-da. Like and subscribe. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Yada yada. Bashir, the Underground Zone players would love that again. We don't need it live. They already did Chromie, Vision, Talents, Box of Many Things, and yada yada. If those systems are just talent trees that require a currency, what's the difference between them for some to have the mistake of timers farming the currency after you just click it and that's it? They should already have a learning from all the previous iterations. Yeah, okay. I think I already talked that to death. I feel like most of Blizzard's problems with flying could be fixed with using the fatigue system more often. You know what I liked? I liked getting sky fucked by those big worms in the sky during 8.3. I think I only got killed like twice. Once I was AFK, once was on stream, which was like magical. And I got sky fucked. I think someone took a clip of that, and that was dope. Blizzard's views on a lot of mechanics like flying give me a bad retail worker vibes. That's weird. Dun, dun, dun. But I know people will be really pissed if they changed flying too. People want if anyone touches flight, people get triggered. I remember I've made suggestions about it too. I was like, hey, what if there was like a maximum flight time? It's like, yeah, you can take off, but you can only stay in the air for like this long, but then your mount needs to rest or some shit like that. And people flipped. Ooh, they did not like that, man. Well, what if I AFK, and I'm doing stuff and then all of a sudden like it just doesn't work. Oh, this is dumb. it was, yeah, people will get really tilted when you try to touch the thing that they feel like doesn't need fixing, which is basically a pause button. It's a pause slash near invincibility button with some caveats, of course. But I remember I've joked about it a bunch of times too. You know, we'll be talking about stuff. I'll be actually playing the game. And be like, oh yeah, blah blah. Hey, you know what? Let me pause the game real quick. Let's talk about this. And I'll get on my mount. I'll I'll fly about 100 yards into the air, and then we'll start talking. And no one's gonna fuck with me. Have I checked out the Season of Mastery servers? I have not, unfortunately. I'd love to hear about it, and also what the developers told us in interviews about Season of Mastery. Could be a long time PTR stuff to test a lot of things we've never seen at all. But yeah, I've not played through it. Maybe I'll wait for like a Miss Pandaria Season of Mastery or something like that. That might be fun. So anyway, I was going to talk about things that Blizzard had said about stuff. So hold up. Okay, so they talked about this right here, the state of TBC servers. So right now there are like some dominant speakers. Six Fury is a very dominant speaker. There's still only about like 30 some people that are part of the council, and I'd love to see more of them. But anyway, hey Helen, I'm just about to talk about stuff that Blizzard has been mentioning with regards to. It happens to be talking about TBC Classic, but this applies to what's going on in modern WoW as well. Imagine the higher you go, the more fatigue per second that you take. Max flight time is 3 minutes. Yeah, people would not like that. Remember, people want to pause the game. That's what they typically like. So yeah, again, this is about TBC servers and realm population, or realm imbalance. You know, too many horde here, too many alliance there. Economies are ruined. Things are in a bad state. Please merge the servers and things like that. And they actually brought up a lot of good points. These two folks, they brought up a lot of good points about what they'd like to do. So, for example, restrict paid transfers based on faction, monitor the faction balances to start and stop. So take a very proactive stance. And given that there are fewer realms to work with, that doesn't sound super unreasonable. Free transfers for overwhelming majority factions off of that server and onto servers where that faction isn't the majority. So basically just a lot more care that's done with allowing transfers and curating stuff. So this was the post that was done like a month ago, like right when this thing started, right when the council started, pretty much. And then it took a really long time for this person, a WoW Classic game producer, to speak to it. So I'm going to read the whole thing. Feel free to look away, do your own thing. I'm going to read through the whole thing, and then we'll talk about just kind of like the reflection of how Blizzard behaves when it comes to situations like these, or, you know, giving feedback, taking feedback. Hello, says Agrind. First off, big thanks to Six Fury and Basil for taking the time to write up your thoughts on this. Second, apologies for taking so long to reply. There's no great reason or excuse other than I had to think about this post a lot before making it. In any case, this is definitely a top issue for both us and for players, and it's a topic we're basically always talking about as a team internally. I like to preface what I'm about to say with this. Player distribution across realms is one of the most complex, if not the most complex issue that WoW Classic faces, and I'm not going to provide a silver bullet answer today. There's no single right answer for this issue because different people want different things, and lots of apparently obvious solutions have non-obvious consequences. I think to start, it might be appropriate for us to touch on what we've done so far and what the actual intent is. In November, we opened a multitude of free character moves between many realms. The intent of this was to respond to the feedback that some players wanted to play on realms with a higher population. We aren't trying to stop smaller servers from becoming even smaller, and we aren't trying to prevent so-called mega servers from forming. We are simply trying to give players who want to move on an easy option to do so. It's not perfect or complete, but it's a relief valve. I'll also be the first to acknowledge that we probably should have done this sooner. This isn't meant to be an excuse, but the main reason we waited so long as we did, and a big driver to being very slow and methodical when making changes that affect server populations in general, is because in our attempts to fix things for specific groups, we could unintentionally change the experience of other groups, and this is something that always gives us pause. Here's an example. Imagine a medium population PvP realm that is 60% Horde and 40% Alliance, and the majority of people on this realm are happy with the state of the realm. However, half of the current Alliance population, which is 20% of the total server population, is unhappy at the feeling of being disadvantaged in world PvP, having a harder time leveling without getting ganked, and having a perceived weaker faction economy. If we open up character transfers off of this realm, this unhappy 20% of players might be delighted to be able to easily leave for greener pastures. Let's assume that they all go from unhappy to happy when they do. But now what's left is a smaller realm that is now 75% Horde and 25% Alliance. It's not hard to imagine that now Alliance players who were previously content with this 60-40 split now become unhappy at being 3-1 underdogs and at having their own economy and community shrink by 50%. And now they're unhappy. And on the other hand, some percentage of Horde players who value world PvP and were happy being on a 60-40 PvP realm are now also unhappy because their faction is now so dominant that the only world PvP available feels lopsided and unsporting. In the above example, doing something well-intentioned to benefit the unhappy 20% would actually have hurt more people than it helped. This is part of the dilemma and what causes us to take a lot of time to analyze things before taking actions that affects realm populations and faction balance. Ultimately, we did end up opening up character transfers to and from a variety of destinations, and we will continue to monitor and modify the source and destination realms as time passes. We could have done a lot better here, however, or at least been more communicative, and I do sincerely apologize for that. Next, I want to drill into a common suggestion that we've seen that was alluded to in both posts above, as well as talk about how we've approached this issue as we've debated it internally. So for example, my server is 90% Horde and this other server is 90% Alliance. Merge them and make a perfectly balanced server. This idea is on its face a great one, and we can see why such a suggestion could be a quick one to make. There are a few things that have given us pause about this in the past, however. Quote, merging servers is something that WoW has almost never done, and the reason for this is simple. We don't like the idea of someone losing their unique name on a realm, and this is doubly true for Classic, where your identity in the community is a major aspect of the game. We somewhat worked around this in modern versions of World of Warcraft with the concept of connecting realms. With this process, we do allow you to keep your name and guild affiliations. It's not seamless, and it is an intrusive change to the player's chosen gameplay environment. When the connection is completed, players of the new connected realms will then have a realm name appended to the end of their nameplate, such as whatever. As a result of this being entirely new territory to WoW Classic, this also leads to more Classic-specific questions and conundrums, such as water. Sorry. Is this appropriate for WoW Classic? In doing this, we are essentially overriding your realm identity and forcibly causing you to merge with another, wholly unknown to you, realm and community. What if you don't want to be on a balanced realm, and at some point specifically elected to move to a realm where your faction is in the majority? We have years of data that suggests that, on a long enough timeline, the population for most PvP realms will tend to skew towards one faction or the other, and that this skew often starts as a result of more incoming players joining the majority faction, rather than players leaving the minority faction. What if merging two realms like this forces layers to be enabled at all times when they were not enabled previously? Layers are a useful tool and something that we feel that most players will understand that they will have to deal with when choosing to move to a high or a full population realm, but if your realm has existed without layers for months or years and they're suddenly forced upon you, is that okay? And what happens in several months when the population of this new, more balanced realm starts to again, likely inevitably, skew towards one faction or another? Do we then connect that already connected realms to yet another realm with an inverse population skew? In such a scenario, you could easily see a never ending cycle of continuously connecting realms to chase that balance. And of course, each time we connect a set of realms, it further dilutes the original realm's ecosystem and communities. Overall, the data we have suggests that, broadly, players don't seem to want an even playing field, and or they care more about having their faction be heavily populated and lively than they care about their realm being balanced. Our concern is that the more we try to directly intervene, the more likely we may be to destroy the communities or individual play experiences that players have created organically. Does this mean we won't ever connect realms in WoW Classic? No, and that's an active discussion we've been having for quite some time. Obviously, there are many other proposed solutions that we've seen from players as well as from our colleagues. But using just as one example, you can likely see how difficult this is to work through, and how even a seemingly simple solution can be fraught with peril if not carefully considered. I mostly provide this to give insight into the types of discussions we have internally, and how we arrive at the actions or inactions that we take. So where do we go from here? Well, I think that's where you come in. What we'd like to see now is some more suggestions from you with your ideas of how we can improve this situation, and ideally, we can have some back and forth here to discuss them. One thing I would like you to keep in mind, however, is that we generally prefer to avoid any solution that would force players to do anything they don't want to do, or directly damages or diminishes their ability to log in and play the game. So please try to keep that in mind when suggesting things in this discussion. Obviously, that places a lot of restrictions on the scope of ideas, but that's kind of the point, and part of the reason for the dilemma we face right now when thinking of ways to address this issue in a way that fits within the WoW Classic design space. And then they talk about, hey, maybe we'll do a live chat and some other garbage, a live chat, whatever. And I haven't seen the replies to this yet. It looks like these are just like more suggestions to help cap things, to help curb extreme scenarios like I guess what they're seeing in WoW TBC Classic servers right now. Basically, find ways to prevent like 90-10s. Yeah, someone said, they said cap factions at 40-60 or 35-65 if that's possible. But there's also how do you determine like these sorts of ratios, 40-60 or 35-65? Like, does that depend on the average the average presence of people who are online at the time, or the average number of characters that are created on those realms? That's something that has a solution, but just something to consider. And then that's it for now. But I like the discussion, but like I said, it's also reflective of how Blizzard tends to respond to things. They take forever. They try to be as well-meaning and cover their asses as best as possible. Thank you, DM bro. Yay! They try to be as well-meaning as possible and try to offend as few people as possible, I guess. But to me, that's also that kind of also falls into what someone had said earlier, where they were like, hey man, during the PTR they should stop making stupid mistakes like these. And I was saying, oh, I think they should make these mistakes. This is those examples of Blizzard taking their time to formulate a response and basically walking on eggshells here. On the PTR, not so much. They'll happily fuck up, knowing that they can make mistakes, and if they have to deal with feedback like mine that threatens to leave permanent negative impressions on people, that's a risk that they're willing to take. So, I mean, just going through the response, it sounds like there's just not enough fluidity in server transfers. Maybe treat it like item restoration and allow a certain number free transfers every 1 to 3 months or whatever. I gotta wonder though. We can try discussing this right now. If transfers are if they have a little bit more than just like a time gate to it and maybe the monetary cost, what does that do to a server identity? Like, does that kind of, at what point is server identity compromised? And this is a little bit hard for me to jump into because I don't play TBC Classic, and my sense of realm identity, I think, is kind of distorted at this point. As in, maybe I don't value it as much, but I still want to try and discuss this. I feel like letting transfers be, well, I don't know. It's like there's the issue of free transfers, and then there's some people that are like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna throw down and pay for it," which clearly some people do, and it just kind of causes these sort of population skews anyway. Now, of course, this is a TBC Classic problem. A modern WoW problem, as a modern WoW problem, of course, I have a solution for that. Can you guess what it is? But we're talking about TBC Classic right now. In that scenario, realm identities will be lost. I do feel like they would be compromised, with the exception of, like if there's like a big guild, a big famous guild that's on that realm, then the identity of that realm will be defined by that guild. Or if anything, it already is defined by that guild, but it'll just be like, it'll be the foundation. It'll definitely be the foundation of that server's identity as serfs to the master. It's a season of Master Pro. Oh yeah. We're talking about classic era stuff, and I definitely can see something like that being a very, very big concern. But it feels tough. Like I think it's cool that that this producer illuminated what they struggle with internally, even with just like the one example that they give. I liked that they were candid about what it is that they face, and offering like the different facets of just shit that they deal with when having to make these sorts of decisions. It clearly looks like it's harder than it seems, and these solutions, while again, like I said, they sound obvious, there are people who are going to be pissed, and then they leave, and them leaving will cause realm issues. So how do you deal with that? And I think it's a really fascinating conversation to have. Best option MO: go back to the old battle groups, connect those realms, get rid of cross realm zones. Remember, we're talking about classic, so we're not talking about modern stuff. Unless you're referring to like Shadowlands or whatever, Tharmas. Make a Kingfall EU guild thing right now. There are all guilds in, actually. I don't think there's PvP realm identity in Classic as much as there is PvE realm identity, but that's just anecdotal. Tell me more on that, Mage Master. I don't quite get what you mean there. Yeah, because I remember, like, I don't know, the idea of realm identity is dependent on you being in the realm, right? I remember I was on, the realms were that, so I played on 3 realms throughout my career in WoW. I started off on, and they're all PvP realms. So I started on Destromath, but I didn't really I just existed in that space. I was just there, right? And I just kind of did my thing. My second server was Anderhall. That was where we established our guild. And in terms of server identity, people knew us as, the consummate casual guild. 10-man, we did 10-man raids. We did our thing. We got stuff done. We raided this much a week. And I do remember that, part of the coolness there was guilds. I feel like guilds talked to each other and partnered with each other more often then, because there wasn't cross realm stuff. People had to interact with people among their server in order to find groups, build groups, guilds ate each other up. That was kind of a usual thing. It was kind of a dog eat dog world when, and I guess that's how it is right now too. And then we moved to Bleeding Hollow because I felt like Andrew, I made that unilateral decision as a guild master. Like, you know what, this realm's kind of dead. I want to go to a place where we can find more people. Okay. And upon entering, I felt like my guild lost its identity. Not like we had much at all anyway, but because we dropped into like a much bigger server. They're like Bleeding Hollow was like a high to full pop server, but not too full. I already felt like the identity was kind of muddied up. So this was end of Cataclysm. So there was no, that was, server identity was still kind of a thing, but I think it was lost to me at that point. This is very anecdotal, obviously, but that whole idea of realm identity was totally lost to me because we were just lost in like this big realm. We were like from 7th on the realm to like 50th or something like that in terms of like raid progression. And so that mattered less. There was just more people to choose from if we wanted to like fill out pugs or recruit new people and things like that. And of course I don't regret the decision of moving to Bleeding Hollow. But yeah, it was it was different. But then I guess after that, like, it mattered less, the whole idea of realm identity. It's just me though. As in, I find more PvP streamers and players make posts announcing transfers. Oh, okay. Okay. So more, yeah, that's true. It's definitely no, the whole idea of, you okay, babe? Ah, the fuzzy. Okay, the whole idea of the reason why people transfer is more of a PvP reason. I get it because that was the reason to do it back then and now on Classic Era realms. These days, it could be for both. It could be for anything. But mostly, hey, I can't find a group. Oh, everyone's joining Horde. Okay, fuck, I'm gonna be on the Horde. Yeah. And so regardless of what realm you transfer to, you're gonna change your faction because more people play the Horde. And that's why I feel like, for classic realms, there's no silver bullet solution. But for the solution is going to be very surgical. There's going to be a lot of little knobs to turn and buttons to press to make things happen. For modern WoW, though, there's a cannonball solution, and that's to solve the faction divide. That'll solve tons of different issues that people have with realm pop, faction imbalance, because, well, faction imbalance won't exist anymore. And that'll, see you, babe. And that'll solve it'll introduce new problems for sure, but I think it'll help more than hurt in that situation. I'm in that connected round for Destermath. It's still dead, lol. Yeah. Yeah, I remember I left Destermath for Anderhall for like no reason. I think I just yeah, I forgot why I left. I think I did a character transfer. Yeah, I don't remember at all. Oh well, whatever. It's been almost 20 years ago, man. I'm not gonna remember all that stuff. Even so, being able to join guild that exists outside of that opens up tons of possibilities. I used to be on Eridar, and that server died when Tankspot and Lore's Guild ended. I like the realm identity. You knew the good people versus the assholes. X of assholes. X of asshole. Forest Riders. Boyd. I need Void Elves for the Horde. You just need Void Elf hair. Right? That's all we need for that. But yeah, I found this conversation to be cool. I enjoyed reading it. It was pretty illuminating. And I'm empathetic to the struggles that developers face in this situation. This situation. Shadowlands, though, let players play together, man. Easy, so good. I would love that. You need the 50% reduction for transmog if I have to. Okay. Are you talking about costs? I mean, imagine the overnight utopia that would happen if they did lift the faction divide. And I've said this a number of times. Lift the faction divide. Provide a 75% discount on faction transfers, and they'll make millions overnight. People would grumble. You'd get grumbling, like, "Wow, I can't believe they're doing that," and they're just trying to milk money. Fuck it, whatever. I'm sure some people they're like, "Yup, they're gonna get that money, woo!" and they'll transfer like a dozen fucking characters, right? Hell, 90% off. That's fine too, because it's all digital shit anyway. You you'd see realms crash. You would see huge problems, I'm sure, if they provided like a huge discount or made them free or whatever, because so many people would be doing them at once that it would just ruin their database. They'd be like, "Oh my god, we can't handle this shit." No, I agree. Yeah, people. Yeah, the thing is, people would just change to what they want to. And that's totally fine. If it turns out that once it's done, more people join alliance races, so what? So what? So fucking what? Let them play together. It's cool. You don't need void elf hair. Well, I wouldn't mind if blood elves could get void elf hair. Whatever, man. If they lift the divide, I'll be able to add my alliance and horde guilds and only have to worry about one guild. Remove the faction divide and remove class race restrictions, and holy shit, that money. Yeah, I agree. And I've talked about this before. If they want to lift the class race restrictions, just write a quick story, make a quick little cutscene, and ta-da, that's all you need. As long as it makes enough sense to open up a demon hunter school for gnomes. Cool. Oh yeah, the lore nerds would riot, but it just needs to be sufficient. I know that I'm being kind of cruel about it by saying, "Oh, just do the bare minimum. It's okay." But really, like, what's stopping? I forgot his name, Kane Sunfury or something like that. It's like, like Azeroth, the demon threat is not over. We're going to open up a demon hunter school. Who's with us? And then a whole shitload of races are like, "Yeah, I'm in. Let's go. I want these fucking wings." Is that really so? Isn't that all it takes? Because there's no literal race restriction that prevents a gnome from being a demon hunter. Unless there is, but I can't think of any. What kind of talk is that? Wink. But I feel like I'm right. There is no. Let's start with demon hunters. There is no race restriction. I'm going to argue that. What is the restriction really? Is there some sort of like arcane affinity that Tauren don't have that prevents them from being demon hunters? No. I think that all you need to do is to sacrifice everything. They're too short. Please. We've seen fucking demonic winged murlocs and shit on Broken Shore. Nah, that can happen. You can have demonic wings and horns and shit like that. Ascension classless WoW is the best WoW right now. Never heard of it. Is that like a private server or whatever? We already have Fell. Yeah, we got Fell Totem. Yeah, so we got that. They're just missing wings and shit. Did you read the books? It's about the past of them and that they had bodies that could be immortal. Oh, so it's an elf. So like an elf thing. Could that be overcome with like a potion or some shit? Yeah, I'll have to. Find the quote. Oh well, no. That should be something I burden myself with. But yeah, we would need a quote on that. So I'd want to see what makes an elf body so different that can happen. Usually, demon hunters are elves who sought out Illidan, but if another race wants to train, I don't see it. Yeah, that's the thing. Demon hunter school. Ta-da! Same thing with paladin school. Anyone could be a paladin, I would say. Forsaken is like the hardest sell, but I'm convinced that we could do that. We can get away with that too. Just Knights of the Silver, this is how easy it is, right? This is how easy it is. It's kind of similar to how Death Knights were, where Bolvar was like, "Hey, we need bodies, man. Hey, whoever's left, get me all the bodies. Just bring. I'm not going to discriminate. We're very inclusive here. Bring them all. Cool. Vom vom vom. Death Knights. Yeah, let's go, boys." What's stopping that from like other restrictions? It's like the premise post Shadowlands is Azeroth has been ravaged by like over a decade of constant conflict and war. Our ranks are depleted. We need volunteers. We need help. And so the Knights of the Silver Hand are opening their doors for everybody. You want to be a paladin? Cool. You want to be a paladin? You're Forsaken. Let's try to make that work. Yeah, it's like, oh, you guys are Forsaken and want to be paladins? Cool. You get to be experiments. And maybe it'll work. And maybe they can become paladins. And that's fine. I believe in a paladin school. Maybe there's a thing where it's like, oh, your fell tainted blood prevents you from being compatible with the lights. Which I would say, wow, the light's fucked up. Wow, how dare you judge me for my past? I thought you believed in redemption, holy light. And then the holy light is like, fuck, they got me. Fine. Let's go. I'll meet your challenge, says the light. This is Forsaken Pal. Yeah. But it's so rare. People don't like to refer to that one. But I'm just saying it's a blanket statement. Just make a school, dude. Make a school. Leonid Bartholomew the Revered. Nice. You just want a Forsaken Druid? Oh, I think Druids would be the toughest sell. Yeah, I feel like they would be the hardest one to sell. And it's only because they would need to make a Druid form set for like everybody. And that would be a little challenging, I think. That's just straight hella work that needs to be put in for that, because I don't think we would be satisfied if they were like, hey, okay, cool, anyone can be a druid, boom. And you're like, yeah, dude, Forsaken Druid, let's do it. And then you turn into a regular bum-ass bear. You're like, hey, dude, this is not what I paid for, man. I want like an undead bear-looking dude. And they're like, we're working on it, man. Just hold on. We'll get to it, we promise. I mean, should they do that? Should they let something happen but only put like, 25% of the effort into it. And I know that it's easy to like talk shit, but serious question, like, should they make it so that mechanically anyone can become a druid, but then they work on the druid forms later? Would you be okay with that? I'm not a serious druid player, so I couldn't really say. Now, I know that there are lots of druid forms out there now that we can now choose from, which is cool. But I definitely don't feel like there's enough. Not enough to like cover all the races. Like maybe like between other races, like it'd be okay to have normal looking forms, but definitely the you know, ex- like really extreme ones like Draenei, Draenei, or Forsaken, or can't think of other races right now. Mag'har orcs, orc druids. Like what would they have? Should they have like a generic looking bear for now? Would that be okay? While Blizzard like works on it. Wait, if the Forsaken could be the plague bat, I mean that'd be cool. I can't see a goblin being a druid. There has to be some kind of nature affinity. It'd be dope fucking if goblin druids were like all robotic. Yeah, I'm a druid. Jihod says, I don't care if every race could be every class. It seems like a non-issue. I mean, it's a lot of the issue that a lot of the discourse from that comes from the sanctity of my game. It's being defiled. Nothing matters anymore. But is that really such a big deal? Is that really such a big deal if we can just play video games together and like wipe on trash? Does it matter what race we are? I said this. I wrote this in a script that I'll for a video that I'll put out maybe today or tomorrow or something. But I talked about. I guess I haven't really seen this said very much, or if at all. But WoW is very segregated, and I'm proposing that by dissolving the faction divide, that I'm ending segregation, and people have a problem with that. I don't know how genuine of a statement that is. I guess I'm testing it out with you guys right now. Nightborn. Yeah, what would Nightborn druids be like? Nightborn are like, yeah, dude, we've been chilling in our city this whole time, but now we can be druids, guys. What do you think? Can I be like just a big barrel of wine as the guardian form? Can we do that? No? Oh. I don't want to be a druid. Okay. They already have undead animal models in game. Couldn't they just use these? They could, but people would want to be like, I want a unique guardian undead fuck bear, whatever. They can't even sort out shaman, ghost wolf, and pharaoh spirits to have more variety. If goblins can be shaman, why not druids? That's true. I mean, if you think about it, it's like, wow. So, Goblin, you have a relationship with the elements, huh? And the Goblin's like, yeah, I just pay it. Whatever. Whatever, man. That's cool. And that's all that's needed. It's like, some elementals are made of gold. Fuck. Whatever, man. There went your coffee. Sorry, buddy. Okay, so the problem with Demon Hunter's lore is that there's only one person that can actually make Demon Hunters, aka Illidan, and he's gone at the moment, locked within. Would it be plausible to say that, the first generation of Demon Hunters, Kane's Sun Fury, Alturas, I think he's alive, and like some of those others, that they've just found a way? Is that plausible? Because I don't remember like what it was exactly that made Illidan, or was it because Illidan was infused with Sargeras juice? he drank the Kool-Aid directly, and anyone else, it just doesn't work the same way. Maybe, but I feel like I I'd like to think that there's a way to write around that. I mean, come on. It's a story. Of course you can write your way around it. It's just, can you convince people to be like, oh, this sounds so stupid, but it makes sense. I fucking hate you. I feel like to make this topic for yourself just because you want it, I feel like to make this topic for yourself just because you want it way too easy. I'm not sure what you mean, Lo-Fi. The way I see it, your player character is supposed to be the best of their race. Why not have them be talented in all the classes? I'm not fond of the genius. Like in Final Fantasy, you can technically learn every job and all that. This is a very personal thing, but I don't like the idea of a genius that can like do everything and all that. I mean, and while it'd be different, it's just like any race can be anything. Dun, dun, dun. Instabuy if that's the case. Mana sabers, mana bears, mana chickens. Not a big barrel of wine, huh? Sormar has a bunch of bees that they could technically use. Yeah, in the zoo. They're all in zoos. Yeah, so I'm gonna be a domesticated mana bear thing. Because remember that barrier. Let's go with like the fact that they were locked in a thing for 10,000 years. Like that barrier did not extend out to that far. There weren't that many animals inside Suramar except for the ones in the zoo, which would make it hilarious, absolutely hilarious. All right. Right now, I just want you to read the book so hard. I have, and I've I don't. Here's a quirk about me. I've read and I've watched like everything once and only once, because trying to read things twice is like almost physically painful for me. It's not a thing that I do. So I do lose a lot of knowledge, and my memories do end up distorting into incorrect facts. So if the restrictions are removed, they need to increase character slots per realm. It already is. It's increased to the maximum number of characters you can make on an account. So yeah, that's at 50. So the problem with druids is that to become a druid is that you have to have a connection with nature, not just a small one, like a really deep connection, like the Taurens, the Night Elves, and the Trolls. Now, Trolls get the power from the Loa, which are more or less nature gods. And yes, Worgans can be druids because they already have a connection with nature due to the Worgen curse, and they kind of learn how to shapeshift from that. So you just need a curse, huh? All right, guys. Line up! You're all becoming Worgen. Let's go. Goblin? And Goblin's like, I didn't sign up for this. Yeah, you did. It's in the contract. Vroop. Oh, no! So, that doesn't sound very plausible. That doesn't sound like a good idea. But it does imply that there's an artificial way to make this connection to Druidism. It's not great, it's not ideal, but it's plausible. And that's kind of a jumping off point that allows anybody to be a druid. Hey, Mechagnome, you want to be a druid? It's like, oh yeah, I love human experimentation. I'm totally down for that. I live for it. There we go. Fucking Mechagnomes can be every class. I've just established that. Just give everyone an end. Here you go, man. It's just a receipt. Just pawn it off. It's okay. But no, I think I've just established that Mechagnomes can and should be every class. What are they limit? What are their things? What are their things right now? Mecha gnome classes. Mechagnomes can choose to be, as soon as this link works, Death Knights, Hunters, Mages, Monks, Priests, Rogues, Warlocks, and Warriors. Yeah, they could be everything else. I mean, the Realm of WoW is supposed to be a power fantasy, effectively unlike Dark Souls, where you feel depowered and have to outskill the game. All without Shaman, Druid, and Paladin. So, Shaman, Druid... Yeah, dude. Oh, and Demon Hunters, of course. There need to be quests for the class that you want to be and make them hard. And Demon Hunter. I mean, that's a fork in the road, Tharmas. I think they can go either way. If they want it to be like a quest that you unlock, kind of like an allied race, sort of, not really, where you just do some quest line, and then you do some quest line where you help a lowly mechagnome become any fucking class, and then once it's done, then you too can make a character that does that. And when you make the character, you start off in a tube, and then the first mechagnome person is like, yeah, dude, I got this shit to work. Now, thanks for signing up for this. This is gonna be dope, right? And then for everyone else, it's like you're in the tube, but instead it's a goblin that's there. He's like, yeah, so I stole this technology from this mechagnome. Decided to use it on you. Thanks for signing up on the contract. Oh, don't worry, I'll give you your 50 gold when you're done. You come out a Demon Hunter. Here's your 50 gold. Go out there into the world, baby. Oh, I'm crying here, dude. Okay, that's it. We've done it, guys. We've solved it. How every class can be everything else. Thanks to Mechagnomes, their willingness for self-experimentation, quickly followed by goblin ingenuity and corporate espionage. Done. I've saved WoW. Man, streaming is fun, right? It's just... It's like when you're kids, when you were friends and you're just kind of chilling outside, or you don't even have to be kids. You're just chilling, you're smoking or doing whatever, having drinks, and you're just talking stupid shit. I just destroyed it. I destroyed it in the best way, man. And here's why it was awesome, because it was so in character. It was super in character. I do agree with you. So any race should be able to be any class because it would make the game more diverse and fun. The guy who made the classic server responded to a few more posts. Oh, did he? Oh, that's really cool. Okay. Let me sift around for him real quick. Yeah, see, whatever. Oh, relax, Lo-Fi. Holy moly. Relax. Let's see. Oh, wait, you're saying the OP responded? Or... Oh, no, this is a recent response. Okay, cool. It's the same topic. Oh, no. I still have the original thread up. See, this is what I mean. Like, some folks do not want the sanctity of their lore to be warped. Now, obviously, some schmuck streamer person trying to deconstruct this in 40 minutes using, knowledge, using broken knowledge off memory, it's not going to be the solution, right? But it's definitely a jumping off point. Hey, Rhapsody. But it's definitely a jumping off point for what could be a a better a better introduction into how we can unlock more race class combinations. So, druids, shaman, paladins, demon hunters. Those are the four classes that are like kind of tough. Those are tougher cells, but there's a solution. Have I seen the absolute cluster that is the blue post about the Mythic Plus title? I've seen it, but I haven't seen a whole lot more. Haven't seen a whole lot more to it. All right, let's see what this guy has to say about the rest. So, make the lower pop faction on a server incentivized to want to play on that server. Yes, you got a lower pop, but you get this. Not speaking for the team here, but I personally really like this idea. We tried to do something similar to this for PvP queues by giving the minority faction a special reward for playing, but it wasn't a lot. And I think this idea could use some expanding and additional development. We'll keep discussing it. I wasn't very fond of the whole. I forgot what it was called. Call to Arms? No. It was the thing where basically the Alliance got a buff all the time. In Classic, it's different. It can go one way or another. But I'd be scared of this. Overwhelming odds, thank you. Yeah, I don't know what the buff is because I just never look because we never get it. We know we don't see it. Poor Horde. Yeah, I wonder how much that would affect player behavior from the outside. How much would that make people want to? Hey, dude, I want that buff. Hell yeah, dude. And then they go for it, and then all of a sudden, now we don't have the buff. Oh, shit. Okay, maybe I want to leave so I can get that buff. Yeah. If it was like that material, more XP gains and in experience, money, and currency, who'd definitely be up for that? Fucking bots. Hell yeah, baby. The bots are like, yeah, the low pop servers are where it's at, baby. And what would suck is that then those low pop servers would feel even lower because the ones that are there are mostly bots, and people are like, where is everybody? I know this is low pop. This feels totally dead. Oh, they're all in Tempest Keep. Okay, shit. / search for mages. Oh, fucking all of them are just farming. Okay. Cap factions at 40-60 or 35-65. This is significantly more touchy, and this is kind of what I was referring to when I talked about us being leery of ideas that directly damages or diminishes players' ability to play the game. We did actually invest in developing tech to allow us to queue each faction independently and considered rolling this out on Season of Mastery. The idea here would have been to basically enforce some sort of specific faction balance, say 60-40, and then force queues on the majority faction until the minority faction began to log in to compensate. Ultimately, we pulled it back for a couple of reasons. What if we get into a situation, where every PvP server is skewed towards the Horde? Is it possible that players could get into a state where they are literally unable to log onto any server at all just because they have the temerity to want to play Horde? Thank you. By the way, Rhapsody, much love to you. What happens if the population of a certain server or servers are such that there are never enough of the minority faction toggling that the majority queue never goes down, or worse, the wait time actually continues to climb because the rate at which the minority faction log in never matches or exceeds the rate that majority... Okay, so he's just talking about the tech that they tried to employ. We could create an almost infinite queue situation on certain realms, and it would be completely arbitrary and not based on the actual hardware limitations of that realm. Is it worth the hit to the experience of those who just want to play on their chosen faction to achieve some sort of contrived balance on PvP realms that doesn't guarantee fair world PvP encounters anyway? I think that's important too. It's like, just because there might be more people on the PvP realm logged on at the time does not mean that there are enough people to help your ass if you're getting slammed in the Grand or something like that. They all might be doing some other shit. Because there's a difference. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm out doing world PvP versus, oh, I'm just doing battlegrounds and stuff. So so should we factor that in too? That said, the work we did to implement this still exists, and it might be a thing to consider rolling out in a future season or classic release if we felt that we could implement it in a way that would be beneficial to more players than it restricts. Open up free transfers to the minority and from the majority only. Looking inward as a player, would you voluntarily move to the outnumbered faction on a realm? If the answer is yes, can you honestly say that you feel that a significant number of players would make a similar choice? So it's like, it's just kind of challenging, like, just because anecdotally this might be sound, like, would everyone feel the same way? Again, using the data we've gathered over the past few years, it's fairly conclusive that players do not take advantage of free character transfers or paid transfers to move to the underdog faction. It's just not something that happens to a degree to move the needle in the positive direction. I've heard this said many times too. And offering that move as the only option that players have for free transfers is likely not going to be positively received by players who are unhappy with their current realm. Cross realm play. Again, speaking personally, I can see this being something that works with some serious caveats and differences from modern WoW. What if this was restricted to only people on your friends list or in a community with you? What if this only worked in instance content? These are a few things that might be cool to explore. It's definitely worth talking about more, but this is something that we really have to think long and hard about. Oh yeah, this would open up a big can, dude. Just as easily, I can see a weekly realm update blurb on the launcher, so too I can see a weekly short multiple choice survey and such. So this is actually something the team has talked about a lot, and we have some plans to investigate a way to poll the community about certain topics and to do so in game. The current ideas are something like an NPC somewhere in the world that asks questions about hot button issues that players can answer via flavor text window, maybe once per account. The responses we gather could help make us make better decisions, or at least help inform us about things. I kind of like that they're willing to do like in-game sorts of things here. I don't know how effective that would be, even if they do try to curb the abuse and try to prevent people getting on multiple characters and stuff like that. Oh, is this on RuneScape? Okay. But with that said, since the classic community is different from modern WoW, they'll behave differently, and maybe they'll take a proposal like this under a different light. So this could be a good thing, too. Maybe. For faction imbalance, is it caused by meta or player choice? The answer is yes. Yeah, it's all those things, Venetia. So I think that's why, from the original statement here, the very long thing here that I read a little while back, it's complicated. It could be it's a very complicated thing. It's a big bitch to deal with. But yeah, I will be right back. Chair stream. Do chair stream. Okay. Plus minus. Well, a plus minus to you too, Cat. I think you need to learn how to type, Cat. All right. Let's see. What's going on, phone? Nothing important. Okay. For classic, I'm guessing the orc troll racials are the most powerful, and that leaves the undead to be the I don't recall. I know there are some classic players in here. Y'all can answer that better for me. I thought it was alliance racials that were better. But I'm not sure. I don't recall at all. But yeah, this guy, classic WoW dude. Thank you, man, for participating. I love that. And it was very prompt. It was a fairly prompt response too. Like these guys responded like a day or so ago. So I'm liking what I'm seeing here from the Blues. I wouldn't mind seeing them start more topics as well. Yeah, quickly this is elevated to be like one of the top viewed things. External cooldowns, that was high. PvP gain, okay, yeah, it's getting up there. Yeah. Can we get a retail one? What was the closest one? A raid test announcements. That was more like a PTR thing. External cooldowns. That was a modern WoW thing. But that was a while ago. PvP gearing, that was the thing. That don't count. And I think that was it. Yeah. So there's been a healthy mix of stuff. I would love to see. Let's see. Where's the thing that was on flying? Yeah. So this is the thing that was on flying. Where my video was linked. Whoop de doo. What class is my true main? Paladin. Yeah, Paladin. Paladin is my main race, class, and profession. Are we finally getting no faction on PvE? I wish, but we haven't seen anything on that Pacmon. We're gonna have to wait until we see the new expansion announcement. I have a feeling like if they, yeah, if they don't announce it beforehand and just say, hey, guess what, guys, we haven't announced the new expansion yet, but we're just gonna let you know that, yeah, we're gonna lift the divide. What era of Paladin was my favorite? Ooh, that's a tough one, dude. Yeah, that's tough. Shit. Because I'm never good at answering those questions because there's always things that I like and don't like about a thing. So that's tough because there are big selling points that came from almost every era. Like as early well in BC, that was kind of a drag. I'd say that BC is my least favorite because of the management. It was like, yeah, you constantly had to reload a shotgun or something like that. Bad way to describe it, but I did not like it very much. Lich King felt great because of righteous defense. For those who don't remember what that is, you targeted a person and then you would taunt up to 3 targets from that person to you. And I loved that ability. That ability was dope. Yeah, I really like that ability because it was a multi taunt thing, and that felt broken. Cataclysm, I liked the not the talents. Actually, maybe I didn't like Cataclysm very much either. Cataclysm was kind of dull, maybe because I don't remember anything of note. Miss Pandario is definitely up there because of Vengeance. Vengeance was dope. The talent choices were almost always interesting. Between Light's Hammer, Holy Prism, and the other thing. The other thing, I didn't choose the other thing. But I like that one a lot. Yeah, there are all sorts of broken things that I could do for that. And the encounters there were pretty cool too. Warlords felt cool because I could hit 5 targets with my Avenger Shield for the first time. And that's followed us since. But I can hit hella targets. That was always cool. And I think I did like the itemization of like some of the stuff there too. But yeah, I guess that wasn't like super special. Legion felt pretty good, mostly because of a certain artifact trait that made my Avenger Shield explode for extra damage, and all that damage fed into a bubble that would protect my butt. And I thought that was really neat. But the other artifact stuff was pretty lackluster, in my opinion. Legendaries were like kind of okay, but I didn't like the whole idea of, hey, dude, you gave me 5 target Avenger Shield for free in Warlords, and now it's got to be taken up by a legendary. That's fucked up. It became more fucked up during BFA. But while the gathering of all the tools and whatnot, that was kind of a PETA. Once you got them, I loved the kind of agency that I had with BFA between adjusting essences, talents, Azurite traits, and all that stuff to tweak my character. I know some people did not like having to get all that stuff. Like I said, it was a PETA. But once you had those pieces, oh, it was cool. So I like that too. Same thing kind of goes with Shadowlands as well. Kind of a pain in the ass to get all the things together. And this is with regards to 9.1. 9.0 was a bit too simple with the implementation. Like there wasn't a lot. You know, people bitch about, oh my god, conduits. They hardly did shit for a tank at least. They weren't that impactful. Legendaries were okay. Yeah, so Shadowlands isn't that far up there, but it's definitely above BC, Cataclysm. Yeah, those were definitely the most dull. Yeah, I'm just talking about Protection Paladin. Because that's the only spec that I play. It's the best spec. Best race too. They should have kept all the gold traits from each artifact and add them as passives. That would feel a bit extra as a Protection Paladin. Because at least right now, Avenger Shield does its job of hitting 5 targets, giving me the damage bubble. I like that. In BFA, that talent was hella weak. It was weak as fuck. It did not do the same thing. But fortunately, there were other things that I had that I could play around with, and that made it cool. Legion Ret was terrible. Judgment Window shenanigans. All I cared about was, hey, you're using it, right? So you can get a replenishment going. Cool, thanks. Would have been an easier transition than remaking all the classes. See, for me, like, I think this is reflective with some of my other behavior that I just talked about, where if I read a book, I only read it once. If I watch a movie, I only really watch it once. There's very few instances where I'll rewatch anything or kind of dwell on earlier things. Like, I keep looking forward. So when 10.0 comes out and things are redefined once again, it doesn't affect me in the slightest. For me, it just takes like a few minutes to get used to the new thing. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm good, let's go, and I'm fine because I just move on. And I know that some people don't. That's totally okay. I don't want to push my own behavior down on other people, but I want to at least share that to let you know that people like me exist that are just like, all right, that's cool. We'll just roll with it, rather than try to fight the river. You know what I mean? Replenishment was Nawatlik and Kata. That's correct. Oh, you're talking about Legion Rat. I'm sorry, Sig. I was totally thinking something else. Yeah, same. But if something works, why change it? Cause. Just because. If we left ourselves at the, I don't know, if gamers are not very creative. They are, but they aren't too, because it's like, oh, we have a great suggestion for this. Let's do this, and then no one will agree with you. People will have so many conflicting ideas, but at the same time, it's like, oh, if it's like this, then never change it. And that, my opinion, that threatens to compromise creativity. That tells developers, no, you're not allowed to develop. Just keep pumping it out. And yet, we also get people that complain, wow, dude, this Call of Duty, it's the same fucking thing every year. What gives? Well, you want your answer, right? Just talk to WoW players. They'll give you an answer. My top eras are between Watlook, Mop, and BFA. Something like that. For very different reasons, and in no particular order. There were things to like about most of them. I just don't recall from from Cataclysm. BC though, bottom, definitely at the bottom. I think it was just because the toolkit wasn't quite there. I do critique these days that among the classes, toolkits are a bit too extensive. Everyone can, to a certain extent, self heal, do reasonable damage, have some survivability, and at the risk of destroying my own sense of gameplay, I feel like tanks have it too good. In the outdoor world, at least. Instances, well, even in instances and raids and stuff, like, it's a little bit tough. I, they're probably in their best state in PvP because they suck outside of certain niches. But I feel like because I play as a tank all the time, like my view of the planet is like totally thrown off because I'll just, hey, look, there's all these dangerous looking mobs there. I will pull all of them at once, and I will slowly win. But it's guaranteed. Not everyone can do that. Not unless you're ridiculously geared. But I can go in like blues and greens and be like, all right, guys, off to adventure, and just whatever. Oh well. There was one thing. There was another thing that I think I put into the title where I wanted to talk about non-controversies. So yesterday, I was talking with you folks, and I was like, "Hey guys, tell me all the controversial things in WoW." And you guys listed some stuff off. I'll answer that in a bit, Venetia. Yeah, you guys help list some stuff off. But then I thought about it. I'm like, that'd be a boring video. It'd be a pretty boring video if I just, hey guys, here's all the things that are controversial. And so I'm trying to rethink this topic and think to myself, maybe I should change this to really controversial things that turned out to really not be a big deal at all. It's a really shitty title, right? But yeah, super controversial things that turned out to be nothing. I mean, that sounds more interesting, but it's also very opinionated too. Yeah, so maybe that's not a good idea either, because I'll be coming off throughout this entire video being like very dismissive of things that people do find to be a big deal. And so the audience that would be interested in this, they would be kind of triggered, for lack of a better word, and be like, this was obviously a huge deal because nah, 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 nah. So I would say, this is not really the list, but I'm just going to mouth off some inspirational phrases like Fruitgate. That feels very up there as to like, OMG, this is going to destroy the game. And then, the 915 launched, and then no one talks about it. It's only talked about in like as like a meme, a quick meme joke. Like ooh, sick burn, man, you brought up the Fruitgate thing. And you're like, oh, okay, weirdo. Do I think the open world mobs need to be tougher? I don't know how to do that. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to, the best idea that comes to mind with regards to making the open world feel a little bit more difficult, but not something that would make it too hard for everyone else, would be to have mobs that have abilities that you have to do things about, that you have to do something about. These days we have a lot of instances where definitely tanks, but to a certain extent other classes, depending on your spec, they can just grab a bunch of mobs and just fuck them all up. But if there were more mobs that did like abilities, like I guess one thing would be armor reduction debuffs. So there's a shockwave that you got to dodge, and If you don't dodge it, then you take some damage and you get a stacking debuff. So you need to kind of think about it a little bit and dodge stuff. Now, if for someone who's like pulling single targets, not a big deal. They're still gonna wipe these mobs out, pretty quickly because they're like DPS or whatever. But for a tank who tends to do less damage, maybe they need to do a little bit more work at dodging stuff while they're mowing down mobs. So I don't know, just like maybe adding a little bit more thought into these mass pulls to make them a little bit more interesting, but not something that feels punishing either. And if you think that it's punishing to have to move out of a thing, then I would probably argue that you seem a little lazy. I want to be able to just pull everything, not move, and get the loot. They might as well just roll over and offer tribute, which would be kind of cool. It would take some work, but maybe looking at the speed at which Blizzard responded to these controversies. Yeah, I'm thinking of other things like shit. I was gonna think of Backspace, but that was legit. I think I was gonna think of patch. No, I don't know if patch 6.1 was like the worst patch ever, but it wasn't so bad. To allow for mini raid mechanics in the open world, basically. Yeah, I'd like it to lean more towards that. Like, if there were more regular mobs that acted like rares. So, for example, you're on the field, right? You're on the field, you're fighting bad guys, you see this encampment with bad guys, whatever. And you're like, I will pull all of them. And among those mobs, there are like, out of maybe 7 to 10 mobs that you can pull at once, there are 2 of them that can apply a pretty nasty debuff that you can avoid. It's not unavoidable dots or whatever, but it's like a shock. Let's go back to the shockwave thing. And if you get hit by it, you get slowed, you lose armor, and then those mobs that are pounding on you, now they become now they become a bit more dangerous because you decided to not be careful, whatever. But only 2 of those. So maybe if there were more mobs that acted more like rares. Yeah. So not mini raid mechanics, but more like rare mob mechanics that do things. I'm thinking debuffs. And some of these debuffs, maybe they'll be short. Maybe they can be a little bit longer. So like, oh, you're caked with bad guy blood, and now you move a little bit slower for the next 2 minutes or something like that. And maybe you can use an ability because to cleanse yourself because you're fucking dope. I remember what was it? In 8.3 with those flying mobs that like skyfuck you. When you're close enough, they apply a debuff to you that will slow you down, designed to kill you eventually when you get too many of those. But you can cleanse it through a class ability if you happen to have it. You could also die. And, to be like, oh man, I got hit with all the debuffs. I might as well die. So you just kind of drop to the ground, die, res, and then the debuff is of course cleansed. Little things like that. That again, I think there's a careful balance between not wanting to punish players who do big pulls, but make it a little bit hard, but also make it a little bit harder. I'm sorry, let me rephrase. I want to find a way to make open world mobs a little bit more troublesome, but without it feeling punishing at the same time. So if all of these things that happen, if they're mostly avoidable, I think that'd be cool. It keeps me engaged, it keeps me awake, it keeps me looking at the screen. I don't think there's a good argument to say I want to be able to just stand there and hit consecration and just like AFK and then watch all the mobs die. That's what makes the game fun and great. I don't think that's a great argument to make. I feel like maybe having the world be more alive and dangerous rather than just mobs. So like I don't know, poison water. Maybe something about the monkeypod development for solutions. There was a big Ghostcrawler blog post in WAD Legion that talked about it. Let's see. The idea would mean that if you party up, you can clear mobs faster, but the more alone you are, the tougher it gets. I mean, I do like that there are that there are kind of elite areas in zones that they moved back to that model. But it's not like there's always an active quest there, but there is a tougher one there. But tanks are fine. Here's another controversial thing: how the plate broker sets for 9.2 is like 100,000% better than the rest because none of them had the head flame. I never liked open world being difficult. It just makes it feel odd when my character is supposed to be this demigod level of power. Since when? The power creep is a hard thing to wrangle with because we as players we look at the numbers and we see like the lowly level 1 boar versus the max level boar, and we think to ourselves, you know, I guess you would think to yourself, oh, it's just a boar. Like I should be way stronger than this. Boars are like nothing to me. But it's I don't know, it's kind of relative because you think to yourself, oh man, I beat the Lich King. Why is it that this no name thing is giving me a hard time, or this dungeon boss is giving me a hard time? I killed the fucking Lich King, and maybe it's WoW doing a not so great job of communicating that to the player. Like, hey, you know what? Despite having what you've done, there are things that can still kill you. I think that's going to always be a sort of problem in video games, where when the game is long enough, you're thinking to yourself, I should be able to like, this should be trivial. Why is it not trivial? But it's, in the end, it is just a game. It's a little bit, that's hard. That's definitely hard for me to articulate. Like, you should be able to easily be able to kill 5 or 6 mobs alone, maybe have a little break to region and then go again. 20 might be difficult if they all applied armor break debuff. And 5% it isn't so bad, but 10% with all the extra mobs bashing you, then that would become difficult. That's what I'm thinking. Like, having open world mobs give debuffs that definitely make a big pull feel more challenging, but beatable with conscious gameplay, I think would be fine. Like, if you going back to that pack of 10, if 2 of those 10 mobs can apply those debuffs, okay, the player mindset in me is I'm going to go for those 2 mobs first. Once I take those down, then the rest aren't a big deal. That feels engaging to me. If all of them applied those debuffs, I feel like that would be frustrating because now I have to, constantly dodge, and there's no strategy apart from constantly dodge. If those mobs, but let's rewind and go back to debuffs that are just applied to you that you can't dodge. If there are 2 mobs, again, that goes to me, okay, I'm going to go for those 2 mobs first. I feel engaged. I'm doing stuff. If all the mobs applied those things, then I'll be pissed. Okay, I wouldn't be pissed. I'll fucking bubble. But, I would understand there being greater frustration because now you feel punished for doing a big pull because they applied all these kind of unavoidable things, and now you just die, and that sucks. Providing a way out is kind of like the job of like world design and encounter design. I remember someone, I don't know the quote, but they said that the job or the goal of good mob and encounter design is to make sure that you win is that you can always win in a really convincing way, or that you lose in a convincing way, something like that. The mobs die in a convincing way that still make you feel good having killed it, not having it feel so trivial at all. Problem with World Zone difficulty is that it has to balance so a healer soloing isn't going to be overpowered, while a tank soloing is having a cakewalk. Yeah, that is a challenge. I also feel like over time, the toolkits of classes and specs have become so extensive that it sort of like waters down that whole feeling of, before it was like it was very tropey. It's like, okay, if you're a tank, it'll be harder for you to die, but man, it's gonna take forever for you to kill mobs. That's how it was in WoW back in the day. Where and healers kind of the same thing. You have all that longevity, cool, but it's gonna take you forever to kill mobs. Then as DPS, cool, you have these kits, you can kite and whatnot, but if you get overwhelmed, you're fucked. And that sucks. So yeah, I think there's a very careful discussion to have with regards to trying to make effective world design that is for everybody, that can still feel a little challenging and all that. It also goes to like how fast are you getting gear? How long does it take you to actually out gear this content? And I haven't done testing in a while on this, but I'm not quite sure if item level scaling is still kind of a thing with regards to mob health, HP, and things like that. It was before, and it was buggy, and that made it very problematic, and that's what illuminated all the discourse around that in the first place. But as it is, like I think it's okay to have mob scaling to a certain extent, as long as people don't really notice. If I could take the perceived difficulty of classic but temper it with a non-RNG challenging mechanics and modern combat, that'd be cool. I mean, so one part of it too, small part of it, like I said, it's gear. Once you outgear stuff, then like you're okay. And there's kind of an itch in the back of a player's head that, new expansion, new land to explore, mobs are hitting hard, but you're thinking to yourself, hey, bitch, I just killed the Lich King, I just beat up Deathwing and all that stuff. Why are these boars giving me trouble? Why am I doing this trivial shit? And that can make it, that can, sometimes it's hard to convince people that, hey, it's new shit, dude, relax. The only reason Classic forces you to team up is adding more dice rolls to succeed. Taking the dice out and putting skill together would be amazing design. Well, Classic was designed very differently too. I was talking about this yesterday. Having to fight your way through Ashenvale to do a quest, and then by the time you finish the quest, all the mobs behind you respawn. So you either have to Hearth, which is a bitch because it's like, oh man, 1 hour cooldown, or you need to fight your way out, or you die, and you probably won't get very far because, well, you can't mount yet, and you're gonna get trucked. That kind of sucks. Yeah, this shit's complicated. Like we love to think to ourselves, oh yeah, it's so easy, man. All we gotta do is lift the faction divide. All we gotta do is make flight available at the start. Blah blah blah. But it can be, not in every situation, but it can be pretty hard to kind of realize, oh, so this is what we ended up doing too. Shit. Okay. That's why people stop playing. Okay. Well, maybe I'll rethink this. It's tough though. But that's why none of us are devs. We're just doing our own version of armchair discourse and dev speak, thinking we know what we're talking about. I'm not going to pretend that I'm some authority that knows what he's saying. like 90% of the stuff that comes out of my mouth is a bunch of bullshit anyway. But I love talking about it, and that's why we're here. That's why you're here. I may be in the minority, but I have never had the nostalgic love for classic. To me, the vast majority of the improvements over the years have been to the better. Hey, Puddle Jumper. Again, I don't watch movies twice. I don't read books twice. I don't, and to that same vein, classic didn't really appeal to me. But that doesn't say anything about classic. It just says something about me and the things that I like about video games. What I like. So that's it. I want to try to at least reassure folks that it's okay to not like a game, this game, whatever game. It's okay to have your preferences and stuff, and we don't need to shame each other over it. We really, of course we have opinions on things, and I'll catch myself. I'm human. I'll like look at things and be like, oh, really? You think that? I have my own brand of dismissing stuff, or and I don't mean to, but I'll end up talking folks down when I don't really want to, but that's just how it is. Preacher saying I was on copium defending flying. Defending flying? Oh, you mean defending the defending the unlock, or defending like flying as in there should be flying? Even Mike is saying shit. They need to stop watching my stuff. I'm glad the classic exists, but it pisses me off trying to play it. I'm glad it exists because it gives more people shit to do. I think that's awesome. But yeah, calls like, what did Mike mean? I at least want to understand before I like respond or whatever. All right. So let's see. Let me go back here. So what would be things here that, they're controversial, but they're not, or they turned out to be nothing? This is hard because whatever I choose is going to piss people off. Defending the unlock system, I gotcha. Bob's getting the weekly about him sharing my video to other creators is... Hey, look. Look at this. Pruning. Oh, I don't think I... Oh, okay. Is this Axiom Verge? I don't know, actually. What am I on? I am on... Yes, it is Axiom Verge. I don't know about the game, but okay. I think Pelagos is one of those nothings. But then I think Pelagos is... See, I have to be careful about this one because I don't want to reveal spoilers. So I would be limited to talk about the whole... yeah, I would be limited to talking about him being kind of a transsexual, although it's weird because, fantasy game and all that. I would say the controversy around his first, us first learning that, oh, he was originally a woman in life and then became a man. Oh my God. To be honest, I don't know. The anti-trans movement, that is a whole nothing burger on its own. From the get-go, if you pay attention, it's there. What's there? Let's see, what else? What turned out to be a nothing? Mage Tower is too fresh. I think I want to avoid that one. That one is, I think Fruitgate turned out to be nothing. Master Loot, that feels like a thing. LFR, I want to say LFR is nothing, but people are so entrenched in their loathing of Raid Finder. It's like Raid Finder is so stupid, blah 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 blah. And then you would ask those person, do you even do Raid Finder? No. Well, what's your problem? What's your problem, guys? Let's see. Transmog, I'd say, and with transmog, I'm talking about people. Yeah, something about like, hey, people didn't earn that gear when it was current, so it doesn't matter. Something along those lines. I used to hate Raid Finder, but when they removed Titan Fortune, now I'm okay with it. Want to buy Return of Mage Toi. Mage Toi. Alright, the level boosts. Yeah, it's still bad. Or wait, boosting. Oh, this will be I'll highlight that one for now, but I have a feeling that people will respond very poorly to that one. So you're pro boosting, Soul? is what they're gonna say. Oh, I say currencies is a big nothing. Please. Oh, this will be a really... People will not like this video, though. So maybe I'll reconsider making it. It would just be... It's like borderline troll bait. Pruning. Let's see. WoW Classic changes boost monetizing. I'm not quite sure why I said that. Reforging. I want to say that. Region related stuff, no. That feels like it matters. Data mining spoilers, no. Mythic size, no. I have a question about Raid Finder in relation to Transmog. Has anyone tried to go get the older content LFR gear from past expansions in Raid Finder? Yes. Yes, you can. There are. See, here's what's kind of jank. And in the upcoming video for predictions, I do predict that Blizzard is going to want to clean up the way the Dungeon Finder and the way the Dungeon Finder works. Here's what I want to see. I want to see just like a menu where you can queue up for all the LFRs. That's it. Right now, you have to bum your ass around the planet and talk to an NPC, and then you queue up via these NPCs. And I think that's dated as shit. Like, I think that sucks. I think you should just be able to pull it up in the menu. But here's what's more. Here's what I'd love to see. This is more like a wish list than a than a prediction. But at max level, or as you're leveling, when you queue up for dungeons or whatever, you get queued up for every dungeon that is at or below your level. So if you can queue up for dead mines, then you queue up for dead mines. You get into people. You get grouped up with people who are eligible who run dead mines who happen to queue up. But that might include max level players. So max level players, instead of just seeing Shadowlands dungeons, you see, instead of just randomly queuing for Shadowlands dungeons, you randomly queue for all the fucking dungeons. Which also has the caveat of using level sync to facilitate that. And with level sync, for those of you who are familiar with that, you do lose abilities. You do have things that are deactivated because your level's not high enough to use this and this and this. So for some people, that's going to feel very awkward. But what I'd also like to see is being able to queue up for like heroic dungeons too. And when you do queue up for heroic dungeons, then you end up going into the heroic versions of old dungeons as well. And those happen to scale up to max level. So you do have all your abilities and all that other shit. And so I figured that's what more people would participate in. Same thing goes for LFR. or Raid Finder. You want to queue up for Raid Finder? Cool, go ahead. You get into those raids, maybe get some loot and whatever currency. I don't know. That's going to be a big part of what would make that system work is to have something that you get from it. Valor is a very easy solution, or that's a very easy answer to come to. But yeah, it's like they had something like that before, and then they didn't, and it's like, oh, that doesn't make sense, dude. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, 14 was kind of the same way. They no, that was with regards to the currency. Yeah, 14 does it right. Like they just have like an easy-ish menu that you can use to queue up, and like there you go. I don't like that 14 is such a very heavily menu-based game, but in a situation like that, when you have hundreds of dungeons to work with, yeah, it's better to facilitate that with like some easy scaling and things like that. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'm just talking about, heroic dungeons and stuff like that. I'm not talking about Mythic Plus. That's a different conversation to have. But like easy queue content that's meant to be like fairly easy and just farmable, sure. Wouldn't that do away with the need for time walking dungeons? No, it wouldn't, because the way some of that old level, the way that menu would work, it would employ level sync. And so maybe I'm not talking about this, communicating this well, but with level sync, you do lose abilities. Things are scaled down. Your level and all that stuff is scaled down. For heroic dungeons, maybe we'll treat this thing a little bit differently. Or maybe not. Maybe we would still disable abilities and stuff like that. But I don't think that would work out very well. There would need to be a better solution for that. So maybe I'll go back to my script and rewrite that a little bit. But it does kind of it does attempt to compromise time walking. So maybe the difference should be when you queue up for these other dungeons, I don't know, maybe you get gear, maybe you just get tokens or currency or whatever for stuff instead of gear. It could be something like that. One of the common rules of design is to not say no, but to kind of figure out a solution around it and then see where you can get. See where you can go from there. My take, at least. Second stream, I haven't been playing games at all. I think time walking should be used to change your character's perspective of the world. So you think it should go the other? Well, I mean, it already does because that already scales you down. But I guess the difference with time walking is that you don't lose your abilities. You don't lose your abilities. You don't lose your borrowed power. You can go nuts. So in that sense, you can think of it as like a holiday. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Like this shit's even better. But then outside of time walking, it employs just regular ass level scaling, which might not be ideal for you. I'd be so down for having stupid tokens to buy mounts with instead of having 357 attempts on Dragon Soul. I hate it so much. Variety is the spice of life, though, Lily. Are you talking about the Handmaiden mount? Because I think isn't there a way to use like an alt and the instance lockout thing to at least skip straight to not spine. What's the one? Okay, so it's spine and then it's, I forgot what they refer it to, but the last boss. Skipping to the last boss. Yeah, I thought that was a thing. Isn't that still a thing? I know people did it for like Lich King. They would skip straight to they skip straight to like the Lich King boss or whatever. Then just meld the system you're coming up with time walking and have it active all the time. Sure, why not? Part of me thinks time walking can still be an event to celebrate. I still think it should just have a shorter gap, but yeah. Oh well. It doesn't work with Dragon Soul. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm more of a compromise sort of person. You know, yeah, because I would look at, hey, I want time walking up all the time. Blizzard does not want time walking up all the time. I don't feel like regurgitating the same talking points. I want to think of something new, a compromise, something like that, instead of just like the blowhard, the blowhard demands. I don't mind being accused of breathing in that copium and defending the unlock, but the thing is, it's there, right? There is, Blizzard obviously intends for there to be like some sort of process to unlock flight. My take is remove the time, but remove the wait, leave the farm. It's fine, whatever. We can, I can live with that. I was gonna say something else along those lines, but yeah. To be honest, time walking has nothing to it other than badges and the mounts. If you don't have it, I wouldn't imagine too many people would care if that was tied into normal dungeon queuing and leveling. I mean, that could be the solution too. Time walk everything that applies to time walking. I think the problem with that though is I don't want that. that's so stupid. I think what that does though, that does weird things. Like so the intention that I have is to get more players to play together. I don't think it would be very compatible to have low level players, legit level 10, 15 players or whatever, to party up with a max level player who has access to 17 years worth of borrowed power. That still works. And those players would have their experience be woefully distorted because these people with full-time walking shit, they're gonna run through and they're gonna smash everything. That doesn't seem like very ideal. Also keep in mind that with time walking, there's only like a handful of dungeons that are available. Between all the time walking eras and stuff like that. So it wouldn't even be complete. The argument then would be, okay, let's time walk everything then. But then we go back to that whole sense of legit low level players being teamed up with max level players, and that doesn't feel like those low level players, it doesn't feel like anyone would have a great experience. Because those max level players are like, hey dude, heal me. And then they're like, I only have one heal button, dude. What the fuck? And so you're gonna have these time walking, these max level people that like are just trucking everything. And yeah, and then those other people, they're not gonna have a great experience, I don't think. Especially as a new player, that would feel kind of funny. That's why I'm going the route of employ level sync. You disable your abilities and all that stuff, but it's a system that's enabled now. It's something that it can't be hot fixed in, I don't think, but the foundation is there. Level sync is a thing. All that's left is to have a queue system that allows you to randomly team up with people to get that party sync thing to work. Meanwhile, time walking, when it comes in, it's a nice little holiday where Yeah, you can still queue up for those dungeons, and then when you get in, then woo, it's you can go all Dynasty Warriors on that shit. I want to see a. You want to see bad luck protection? Gotcha. I don't know if they mentioned it anywhere, but on the calendar, the next Legion Time walk-in is in March. Squeeze between Pandaria. Squeeze between Pandaria and Draenor. That's weird. I wonder why it's like that. Dun. What's up, so breezy? Getting carried PvE feels so infantilizing. That's not a word I see very often. Time to learn. Infantilizing. Okay, good. No porn here. Treat someone as a child in a way which denies their maturity in age or experience. Oh, that's mean. Okay, yeah, infantilizing is bad. Yar and the strange decision they made to remove some dungeons and replace them with others. Why not just add without the removal? I agree with that. It seems weird that they didn't add to the rotation. They changed the rotation. Oh well. Question for power creep. So should sulfurs be more or less powerful than a green sword from Bastion? Doesn't that depend on what item level you made it? I think the max you can make that thing is level 50. Item level 50 or item level 54. I forget. 54, I think. Guildmaster loot and lift personal loot restrictions, and I'm happy. Yeah, personal loot restrictions drive me bonkers. I can regurgitate the same talking points all day. All day. It drives me nuts. Did it happen last night? Yes, it did happen last night. Because someone was like, hey, a shield. And because I think they asked, they set their loot spec to something because they wanted something. And so they got a shield. And like, oh, I don't want this shield. And someone's like, I want the shield. It's like, oh yeah, I'll go ahead and give it to you, buddy. Oh wait, I can't. And so bad feelings. And that kind of sucks. With transmog, your sulfurous can be a green sword. Yeah, it's true, huh? Thanks to transmog, you can have your sulfurous forever. Dun, 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 dun. Well, here's a different question. Like, technically, I could find there's like a beer stein mace that I think is more powerful than sulfurous. Should that be a thing? Right? Part of me says no, but part of me says, why not? Does that mean this thing that was made, but does that mean that we should continue escalating? Like, does this need to be like, it's not just any Stein, it's the cosmic Stein of the Titans, and swinging it, like the beer that comes from this Stein is the stuff that makes the universe. Should that always be a thing? Should it always, just because it's a higher item level, does it mean it needs to like step up every single time? Bring on the kettle. Legendary weapons. Player housing wall where you can put all your legendary weapons. Oh man. Player housing. Player housing is not really on my prediction list. It is, but it's not. It's very nakedly like hopium sort of stuff. I think I went as far as saying, well, Blizzard has not talked about player housing in a long time. They haven't given any hints of it coming, but that might be because they want to be so careful about it that they want to announce it when it's ready, and they don't want to mess with our expectations beforehand. Yes, that's it. So I think that's what I am going to say. And I don't care how cringy that is, buddy, because I believe it. Why the hell do people care about player houses? It's the same reason we care about parses as well as transmog. Very similar. Very similar reasoning. Do you think it's even worth trying to level up your Korthia rep to get to rank 6, or just wait till 9.2 to gear up? It depends on what else you want from rank 6. I thought there was a perk that you unlock for your alts. Short answer though is no. If you don't need rank 6, then you don't need rank 6. That's the long and short of it. Yeah. It's all optional stuff. Same reason we care about any cosmetic player housing. They should just have us revisit our garrisons and expand from there. No, man. I don't want to stay in fucking Frostfire Valley the whole damn time. Alliance are fine. Horde or not. Like, yeah, dude. Like, if I had my way, and if I was stuck in Frostfire, I would abandon the garrison. I would go to Bladespire Fortress. I would raise that thing to the ground, and I would build something new. I would find the closest lava pit. I think there are lava pits somewhere in Frostfire, and I'd build a house near there, because chances are the ground's more fertile and I can grow shit there. I just never understand player house mechanics. What's the draw? Like I said, it's the same thing as wanting transmog, pets, and top score parses and shit like that. If they give us the ability to relocate the garrison, then sure. I'd rather say goodbye to the garrison and just have something new. It would have been like nice if they did go through with the ability to relocate the garrison in different areas, like they had talked about initially. It sucks that it didn't happen, because you're damn right I would leave Frostfire. Shit's cold, man. I guess one of the takeaways, Venetia, is that sometimes it's okay, even if we want to understand why players think a certain way, it's okay if we don't. Or it's okay if we never really come to terms with the understanding. Like, oh, I get it. I think it's okay if we don't sometimes. But I do think it's important to acknowledge that they exist. Just because we don't understand it doesn't mean it's not valid. Boy, that was the day when they announced that wasn't going to happen. I mean, I have more beef actually over not being able to rename your followers, because that was like one of the things that I was like, oh, dude, that'd be dope. I'm gonna name followers after my guildmates, and I'm gonna send them off on missions to die. I remember that was like one of my initial reactions when I was sitting there at BlizzCon. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's gonna be like this. I'm gonna name you after this, and blah blah blah. It's gonna be dope. And then it didn't happen. That was one of my biggest disappointments with the garrison. That you couldn't rename the things. Never mind everything else. Everything else is like gameplay stuff that I can figure out. The profession stuff, it was awkward, but then, I'm enterprising enough, and I'm like, all right, cool, this is how I'll work it. I'd be renaming him for show Knucklebump. He had a cool name, I have to admit. But I wanted more agency, right? I love the pets. I love the pets walking around. That's super cool. I love being able to like watch them like just walk around stupid, seeing all like the Murlocs. For me, it's Murlocs and puppies. They're just walking around doing their own thing. I like that you can kind of change the decorations of the garrison a little bit. Like in my garrison, it's always Christmas, always. That, and there's kind of a bug that makes your NPCs stronger in case you still care to do those garrison invasions. Use the Christmas theme, and you will just destroy. Like you can pretty much the invasion will play itself out. It's pretty dope. Don't forget about the Mechanohog grazing in the stable. Oh yeah, dude. Just your inanimate mounts. Otherwise, yeah, those were dope. Like there were legit things that I liked about the garrison. There's a certain role play about spending time there that felt really cool. The drawback, of course, was that outside of the garrison, the world felt very bare boned and not very interesting. There are so many things that are missing. Congrats on the React. Thanks. That's someone pointed out that Mike from Preach Gaming that he had his own reaction too. Whoop de doo. Love that cope. I like when you sent your people on missions and first thing walked out, you saw them heading off. Yeah, that's right. They would like or like when they come back, you see them kind of walking back in. That was neat. Yeah, you turn all that stuff in, and then they go around and just kind of like mosey on over. All right, nice, Rye. Very nice. Outposts were woefully disappointing in Warlords. They served like no purpose. You get like a cool perk. Whoop de doo. Wow. Guild halls, yes or no? Short answer is no. Yeah, short answer to that is no. Not yet. Because if there were guild halls, everyone would want a guild hall. In order for everyone to get a guild hall, everyone needs to be not in guild. And that would kind of suck. Kind of, sort of. I miss all the spells that were pruned in Legion and still not returned. Bummer. Did I like any aspect of the class halls? Absolutely. I thought they were dope. The Paladin one was the best, clearly. For no reason in particular. No, they were all really gnarly, and super super cool. I don't remember most of the spells in Legion, like explosive shield, bubble shield, meh. The artifact ability that only worked within like 5-10 yards, which was whack. But oh well. Drenor had a lot of open plains. It was like the Barrens, but an entire collection of different colored Barrens. As a guild master, I have fears of having a guild hall and suddenly having to referee how we decorated, etc. Yeah, I mean, fortunately, I'm the guild dictator, and people would be like, I don't care, I'm never going to visit it anyway. Because my guild doesn't, they don't invest into WoW the way that I do. So they'll be like, oh, it's cool to visit, and I would try, depending on how they do guild halls, I would want to try, I would want to make it fun for like everybody. Hey, True Villain, thank you, dude. The guild dictator, you damn right. All about that dick. Even though the Hunter's Lodge was small, I loved just chilling up there on the mountain. I hated the Hunter's Lodge. I hated it. You know why? Because I would constantly fly over it, and then it would teleport me to bumfuck nowhere, and it would piss me off. For Hunter's Lodge was great. It was cool. Yeah, see? It was and that was like a regular thing. Like a twice a day sort of thing. I'm like, God damn it, Soul, just pay attention to the stupid screen. Stop looking. And so I would end up just using the damn Flight Master's whistle and then get to wherever. So I can get to Greymane's forces, hold this tower, break their ranks, show no something. Tower had to be on the other side of that, right? Rip whistle, whatever. I'm an engineer. I don't need a whistle. I never needed the whistle. I guess my preference in combat analysis, I just value combat over most aspects, and that's okay, dude. Venetia, that's totally okay. The only thing that I urge, not for you specifically, but for those who feel the same way as you do with regards to anything, is that if you value something more than something else, it does not mean the game should value the thing that you like over anything else. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's okay. I would love the game to have everything for everybody in a world of infinite resources. I would love to have currency-based loot. I would love to have bad luck protection for farming cosmetics. I'd love to have guild housing, player housing, and long ass cutscenes, high res cinematics all the time, loot that's hard to get and easy to get, all those things. I'd love all of it, but it ain't a thing, right? Let's get a guild ship instead. Let's just timey-wimey space things, time travel in some Star Wars ships into WoW. Then we can have cool-looking guild ships in space. I don't want to go to space, though, man. I don't want to go to space. I don't mind being on a boat on the ocean. An airship would sound kind of cool, but just give me a cool apartment somewhere in Orgrimmar. That'd be cool. I think with shared spaces like guild halls, they can make some aesthetics personal and some guild wide. Yeah, like some of the ideas that I have for guild housing is like, you have like your main hall of sorts, and maybe it can be like a multi-story thing, whatever you want it to be. So you have your big space, but then on the side somewhere you have a more shared space. So it's like, hey, I'm gonna go to my room. I'm gonna go to my dorm room in my guild hall, and then each individual player has full agency on what they want to put in there, and they can decorate it like a little apartment or some shit like that. Asmund watched it. Yeah, I heard about that, Biblin. Yay. No, that's cool. I don't mind that. I don't mind that people are mad, because it's a difference between, hey, I'm seeing this in this build and I'm mad about it. I'm cool with that. Not so cool though is, hey, I'm seeing this thing in this build and that is literally what's going to be in the game, and this is why the game is bad, and Blizzard should never have put this into the build. It should never have done that. They should never make mistakes while they're developing stuff. And now I'm unsubbing and going to a real game. Right. So, yeah, some feedback or some discourse, I'm cool with. But when it turns into kind of like gutter intelligence conclusions like that, then I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Like, here's a picture frame that looks different to everyone depending on what they pick. Yeah, that would be cool. I remember I had a long self-discussion about how to do something like that. Like, if you want in-game screenshots of... like, if you do in-game screenshots, can you post those onto pictures that you can display for others inside your guild house, player house, or whatever? And I know that would probably cause problems. User generated content almost always causes massive problems in the game because whenever you have user generated content, you have dicks. You have dicks all over the place. And somehow you would make that happen. So it's like, I'm going to take these cheap feasts. Here is definitely what I imagine happening. If they allowed you to post pictures in game in player housing, people would take feasts and they would use that as like their brush of sorts. And what they would do is probably draw pictures using these feasts to make or say whatever they want. And then they take a screenshot of it. And then they put it up in their guild hall. So imagine like, a big like if you can have this picture be like on a big mantle, right? Like it's supposed to be like your banner, your centerpiece picture. And normally you would have people be like, yeah, dude, here's like our latest kill. This is awesome. Meanwhile, some jackass is gonna have like a big dick pic. Just emblazoned across like this huge mantle that takes up like, many, many yards. It's huge. You walk in and you see giant penis. Boop. There you go. Yeah. We definitely see that. It sucks, but you would definitely see that. Guaranteed. Honestly, if you're going to do player housing in WoW, I would say we need bigger cities that actually represent how many people actually live on Azeroth. I actually feel that most cities in WoW are very barren. Adding player housing as an instance thing, I think, would at least make me sad. I want huge cities where you could actually see that a lot of people are living. Just those things ruin me. I would like to see that, but I don't know if a big city revamp is what I'd want to see. So here's the thing: if we're gonna make player housing, I would want the focus of WoW's dev team to be on player housing or guild housing, whatever. I would be tilted a little bit if it seemed like they had to compromise on the development of player housing because they wanted the cities that have this to feel bigger. It's like they're developing environments that, not that I don't care about, but it's not as important as the features that they want to let us play with. Does that kind of make sense? Instancing is a cheap way to go about it, but it's just easier. Having an instance that takes us to like a housing district or a residential district or a guild district or an adventurer district or whatever. It's a cheap way to do it, but it also works. And I'd rather have personally, right? I'd rather have that than have to wander my ass through a bigger. Yeah, I'd rather do that than wander through like a bigger capital. And of course, what if I don't want my shit at the capital? What if there's like some sort of fork in the road, a crossroad where Blizzard has to decide, okay, what do we want? Do we want to have people be able to make their dwellings or whatever outside of the capital city? Because if so, then we can do this, or we could have it limited to the city, but then we can make the cities look cooler. I don't know which one's better, but that would be I guess that would be the conversations or the challenges that would be posed from that. Honestly, if you're going to do player housing, oh no, I already read that part. Imagine if they had a user generator on the Battle.net site full of stuff that they approved. They can do that. They just got to add some jobs to it. Or use like AI. The AI's primary its primary role is going to be look for dicks, look for things that are shaped like dicks, look for things that are shaped like words or letters, because, you know, I'm pretty sure, like, if you could do the same thing, just take a bunch of feasts and just write texts, whatever it is that you want to say. It sucks because, we're looking at like edge case scenarios of the worst things that could happen. But I know this is definitely my old training coming into play. Like, whenever there's user generated content, your first job is to find a way to break terms of service and make the most offensive shit that you can. And if you can, then I would fail the title. Hey guys, sorry, dick pics. Can't do, can't do it. Resubmit, please. See you later. Yeah, that was a big part of the job. Finding ways to make dicks. Or racist shit. So. These are the balls of Saga. Yeah. Even trying to think of benign stuff. It's like, yeah, here's a selfie cam of me looking up Taranda's skirt. Arrrr. Yeah, it would be. It sucks, right? Because it ruins everyone else's fun. But man, that's easy to do. Hey, LFD, thank you for subscribing. Much appreciated, dude. They would definitely do it. especially with the audience that we have. You know they'll do it. You know that they'll do it on stream. Hey guys, check it out, man. Let's make dick pics together. Yeah. Sounds like a fun job, just making dicks out of things. It does sound weird. Imagine yourself being the lead. All right, guys, we're gonna do the UGC stuff. All right, cool, man. Yeah. All right, so you are going to try to, let's see. This is a name generator. So try to make these names, and then you do like these emote things. See if you can bypass that and do whatever. And then you need to see there were like age restrictions too. So you needed to have age restrictions be able to turn off, like that sort of stuff as well. I guess that would be something to consider too, even with UGC content. Like you can maybe have like a toggle where, or parental control, boop, UGC is off. And so if you go into this player guild house, any of those screenshots will just be turned into bowls of fruit. Done! And everyone else wants to submit themselves to the dicks can do so. I don't think that'll work though. I think that I still think it would cause way more problems than it should. Of course, having more opportunities to ban players that do stupid shit like this, I wouldn't be so mad about it either. It's like, oh well, at least they're gone now. Woo. Unless they come back, but you know what I mean. It's a complicated thing, but it would be fun. Because what I would do, I know what I would do for sure. I would take pictures of like nothing but in-game puppies, and all the puppies in whatever available picture frame there is. Just every puppy needs to be represented, from the hounds to the corgis to the fire corgis, all those things, because puppies are the best, and cats not so much, because I'm allergic to them. I gotta say that every time. Yeah, the pugs too, dude, especially when they're doing like the poop animation. Oh, they're the best, man. They're the best. To be fair, I've seen some interesting things in Final Fantasy. Yeah, like they do some amazing stuff, dude. Some amazing stuff. I'd love for WoW to do the same. I doubt that they'll ever do it, but I'm gonna continue holding out hope until the realms shut down. And yeah, because hope is easy. How convenient, the paladin who loves dogs, like a golden retriever themselves. Yes. There are all sorts of stupid ideas that I'd love to see implemented. You know how, like, here's a prediction. Here's a prediction. Patch 10, new class. It sounds like a given. But what if they don't do a new class? What if instead they start a new sort of paradigm where every now and then they'll add new specializations to existing classes? That could be cool too. What if we have a cloth tank? Will that be kind of neat? Maybe, maybe not. But it opens up more of those possibilities, and that would be kind of neat. What if there was a hunter healing spec? Kind of weird. Yeah, what would a hunter healing spec do? I got it. Hunter healing spec would have gorilla pets, and the gorilla pets would have nurse hats, and then I don't know, they touch people and they get healed. I don't fucking know. Whatever. Hunter healing spec, go. Or a paladin pet spec. Here's what is going into the script. A paladin pet spec where the pet is a shield. Yeah, buddy. I'd do it. We'd do it. Hunter healing spec chucks bananas or just throws food. You eat, and then he like tackles you and he shoves food down your mouth, and then you eat. The pet's a mini normal. No, dude, it has to be a shield. A shield, a random shield from your transmog inventory, and you can change it to whatever shield you want. And if we could do that, then I would change that shield into like the rotating gear. I've thought this through. I've totally thought this through. What's up, Necro? We're talking about a paladin pet class, among other things. Let's see. I still wish I could invite you over to my apartment. Yeah, I think my sub might have expired by now. A shaman spec that actually uses totems. Heyo! Cloth tanking, frost armor for mages, void skin for priests, fell horns for warlocks. New spec for paladin. Let's go for show, dude. Let's go. Pet spec. Still want a hunter tank? Hunter tank would be dope. A ranged tank. I think, predictably though, the next spec should be male. Please be fucking male. Because I did not predict that. I was thinking that, what's it called? Demon Hunters would use male. I mean, it doesn't make sense if they used male, but I was hoping that they would use male. The next class has got to use male. Because there's like, what, two male classes, three leather, three plate, warrior, death knight, paladin. Yeah, 3 plate and like 50 leather wares. 2, 3, 3, 50. Yeah, Zakar has it right. 2, 3, 3, 50. Did I see that? Yeah, I saw it, Necro. Or no, I didn't see it, but people have told me about it. Yeah, dude. I want a. It could be animated through like necromantic stuff. It could be animated through arcane stuff, like a lot of stuff is, at least on Azeroth. All sorts of ways that we could do, like just a floating shield thingamajigger. They should go crazy and add a few classes. A few classes. Holy shit. Yeah, so 12 classes, 36 specs. We're just gonna add like 3 more classes in this expansion. Fucking chaos. 14 added too. Yeah, I'll know, man. No. I shouldn't deny that. But like, they basically added one healer spec and one one melee DPS spec, right? So they basically added a demon hunter. A demon hunter's worth, yeah, a demon hunter's worth of effort. That's very, that's a very juvenile way of saying it, but something like that. Or a new role. Oh, that would ruin us. That would ruin us. Like a total, like a full on support role, right? Which would immediately be required. Oh, that would suck, man. It's like oh god, people would be so pissed. Imagine if there was a new role that was put in, and it was an optional role, but not really. There's a razor thin line between optional and required in this sort of situation. So like, let's say they brought in like a support class or a crowd control class, whatever. It would either be 100% needed or totally useless because you might as well just have a third DPS. What would you rather have? More crowd control, less DPS, or just more DPS? So it's going to be one of those either or things. In raids, though, absolutely required. So one DPS, at least one DPS is going to be like, oh man, this sucks. Yeah, in small groups, that'd be kind of weird. So maybe in small groups, it's like, okay, maybe it's not necessary, which will mean in Mythic Plus, that support role, that fourth role is going to be like just fucked. They're like, oh, no one wants me. Everyone's fine because right now everyone's, toolkits are pretty extensive. So it's like if you want to make a support role like a crowd control role work, then you would need to take things away from the existing classes to give more justification for the new role to feel more effective, right? Otherwise, what's the point of them? So there's a lot. There's a lot that goes into that, but fuck it. Let's run with it anyway. I think I've done enough dismissing of it. But what would be a good cool class? Don't give me Bard. Don't give me Bard. Give me a cool support class. Or what would a support role do in that? There are no good or bad ideas. Just fucking go. Like a shout barbarian. Just now we gotta have a good name for it, Necro. A good name for it would be the not caller, not the shouter, but there's a word for it. There's a word for it. A war chanter. Something like that, right? Or a Karen. Yes. These mobs. This mob is threatening me, right? It'd be awesome if they added a new spec to almost all classes, which I feel like everyone has been saying for a decade. I remember if they tried to do it in one expansion, that would be the equivalent of making like 3 classes in a single expansion. That would be chaos. That'd be total chaos. A soul breezer. Wow. Nothing could sound worse. A skald is like a Viking bard-ish. Oh. Huh. That's not bad. They need to do something like that in my opinion at this point. I don't know. Adding the equivalent of 3 classes in a single expansion, that sounds like a bit much. Lots of powers from the Vrykul. I keep saying I can never pronounce that right. Vrykul. From the Big Humes. How about that? The Big Humes. I'm loving the past 2 days conversations. You guys have been like super fun. Vrykul. I'm gonna imagine it pronounced like that now. Vrykul. Or whatever. They're hella cool. Vrykul. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Okay, I still want to play as a Succubus or a Shivara, an Asmongold class. I don't know what that entails. A Succubus or a Shivara class. with the power of temptation. Arrgh. That would be kind of a cool support sort of thing, though. Like a Mezzer or something like that. What would be a really great class, though? A support class, a Mastermind with robots. Man, that would be sweet. You would have robots locking down dudes and pinning them down and shit, exploding. That'd be sweet. Like City of Heroes, exactly like City of Heroes. I just missed that game. I know that Homecoming is out, but I just missed that game. What about a Witch Doctor? That would be kind of cool too. Throwing down totems that shaman wish they had. Hexing, which they get taken away from shaman because now they got them. An army of Mechagnomes. Yeah. I think my favorite part of today's conversation was the revelation that Mechagnomes can and should be every class in WoW. 100%. And the premise behind it sounds so ridiculous and fun that I just want it to happen. It sounds so dope. Well, guys, we heard that there are demon hunters, and maybe we can fashion up some technology so we can make our own. Oh, really, Wilfred? We can do that? Absolutely. We have the technology, and they would just do it. I'm surprised you didn't get more excited about the Necromancer Paladin. It does sound hella cool. But I'm scaling it back because, we got to at least think of, okay, how do we increase the number of race class combos? And going straight to Necromancer Paladin is a bit far of a jump. We gotta take steps. A couple steps at a time, man. And then we can dive right into it. So anyway, we're gonna wrap up in a little bit, but today's plan is for me to get this predictions video. I might not wait until the morning. I might just get it out there because I don't know if there's going to be a build today either, which will be awesome. Let me double check the Peter really quick. Isn't that just an unholy death knight? PTR's down. Yes! Sweet. That means it's coming. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Plop Tart. Captain Plop Tart, I should say. Much appreciated, dude. So yeah, there's going to be stuff. I might, I'll probably post random findings on Twitter as I see them. One of the first things that I do want to test out though is or at least check out, is the flying requirement. Did it change? More importantly, if the realms are down, then that means at some point we're going to see build notes. Because they've been pretty good about posting build notes and changes and things like that. So yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on that thing. What's coming to PTR? No idea. No idea. But it's been a couple weeks, and there's no telling what work might have been done in the meantime. Probably not a lot, because the team was off for the holidays. But I'm hoping that I'm hoping that more features are enabled. The crafting, the pet crafting, that hasn't been really turned on yet. Cypher gear, which no one's really talked about because no one knows what it is exactly yet. We don't know. That needs to be tested. Cosmic Flux, the thing that lets you turn water into wine or gear into tier gear. Don't choke. That needs to be tested as well. And more shit. Because apart from the zones, like the raid stuff that's being tested, the zone stuff still needs to be turned on, but we're kind of getting there. Then we can start testing stuff, really testing stuff and seeing how things work, and then I can begin to write guides. Right now, the only really solid thing that I have for my 9.2 guide is to have your Venthyr Covenant up and running. Because unless you're a warrior or a demon hunter or someone who can easily teleport, being a Venthyr is very advantageous for the purpose of like, avoiding jumping puzzles and getting to platforms that you otherwise can't reach. Being Venthyr is just fucking dope, which kind of sucks because it's like, oh man, now I have to. People are gonna say that I have to be a Venthyr in order to be successful here. Ugh, that's so lame. But oh well. I mostly can't wait to get out of the Shadowlands because I didn't feel good when I was questing through Bastion. I felt like a brainwashing villain. I did like, last note on that, I did like how I felt like Bastion's storyline got the most attention to it because it moved from one thing to another. It started off like weird, and then we got to see throughout the campaign stuff and everything, we got to see them as a race or a people kind of progress or become more progressive or liberal into something else, and I appreciate that. I don't feel like the other covenants were given that same sort of treatment. So Bastion, the people of Bastion, the Kyrian, they were given their own sort of redemption story, or they went through a journey that I think the other covenants didn't so much, and that's a bad thing. Not what the Kyrian got, but what everyone else did not. So I'm hoping that the next big story in WoW is more or less unified. I'm not too fond of things being split apart in 4 ways in Shadowlands, or even 2 ways in BFA, or 12 ways in Legion. So anyway, I'm gonna head out. You guys have a great day. Today was awesome. I want to thank you again, the folks who had subbed and resubbed, and the amazing 20 gifted subs. Thank you very, very much. When do we raid Asmongold's lair for artifacts? Lol. That's a tough raid, man. Yeah, I'm dipping out sick. Again, tons of fun. Thank you again. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time. Maybe I'll actually play video games for a change. That'd be weird. Until then, though, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, stay B-Resi. Holla.